October 15th, Hollis Brookline Cooperative School Board. Thank you. Where are we today? Meeting to order at 6:01. So I've done that, call to order. I can check that off my list. I'd like to do some introductions because I see we have a new face with us. So I'd love to, we're going to start over here so you can hear all of our introductions and we'll get to you. So Cindy, go ahead.
Cindy Banconet, School Board. Linda Sherwood, Director of Business Operations. I'm also tired.
Yes, our brains are fried.
Lauren DeGennaro, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services.
Dot Flaherty, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction.
Jean Barkskog, Superintendent.
Holly Durlow Babcock, Co-op School Board Chair.
Kate Stoll, Co-op School Board Vice Chair.
There you go.
Rob Mann, Co-op.
Patrick West, Principal of the Middle School.
Jacob Hess, Principal of the High School.
Samantha Disco, Student Body Vice President.
Samantha.
Disco.
And do you go by Samantha?
A lot of people call me Sam. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Is this your first time with us? Okay, so just so you know, we will ask for you to kind of give us a little bit of a student report, usually following the high school principal's report around that time. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. There's lots of times when it's great to have students, especially when we have conversations about program of studies, classes, those kinds of things. But you're also welcome to leave after you do your report, because you have this thing called a life and probably homework and stuff like that. So, but welcome. Thanks for coming. Okay, so I have agenda adjustments. Is there any?
I have one.
Should be.
Tom Solon is joining at 6. Oh, great. Thank
I
you.
am recommending that we remove deliberative item 3, this unauthorized communication, third read or fourth read or whatever we're on, 27th read, of the policy, just as the wrong version was linked and there's too much to really say verbally, so I think it makes sense.
So just for everyone's to hear that again, I think we're going to remove the cell phone policy deliberative item, and it will be on the agenda for next month. We have some things that we changed in policy that did not get reflected in the packet. So.
Oh, I have another agenda adjustment. My apologies.
Look at the face. I promise you'll be able to dig into it next month.
Yeah.
It'll be.
It's not that. I want to get it approved.
We do
So,
too.
yeah.
We really do too. So hopefully next month we can do third and adopt.
Yeah. My other request is that we remove FY26 Q1 revenue and expense update. Our revenues are not finalized yet, and so we're going to have to move that to the November meeting.
So that's number 4.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Quarter-
Oh, okay.
FY26.
that one. So we're still
Quarter
going to
one.
talk about FY25 and the
Correct.
retained fund balance. So remove 5. Okay. So when we get there, make sure I don't do that. Okay. Is there any other comments or questions regarding the agenda adjustments and complaints? Whining? Nothing? Okay.
It's okay if you want to whine, Holly. We don't mind.
I will whine all night long, Tom.
I don't mind trying.
So, notification of nominations, resignations, and correspondence.
I have none.
Great, none of those. Good, moving on. I needed a process observer. I know a few years ago I tried to create a schedule. It never worked anyway, so I just need a volunteer at this point.
I'll do it tonight.
Thank you, Cindy. Cindy, did you do it last month too? Tom did it, okay.
Last month. I've
So
done
Cindy.
it a couple months, but
Okay,
I won't be
thank
here
you.
for some months. So.
Okay, so moving forward to some minutes that we need to approve. I've got the school board minutes of September 17th, 2025, and the following amendments were offered. Page 2, line 48, correct the spelling of what. Page 3, line 4, phone should be plural. Page 5, line 21, replace principals with principals. And page 12, line 32, district should be plural. I need a motion to accept as amended.
So moved.
Moved by Kate. And a second?
Second.
Seconded by Rob. Okay, at this point, are there any other amendments or comments or questions about the minutes from September 17th, 2025? Okay, all in favor? 5-0. That motion carries. I also have non-public minutes with no amendments. So I need a motion to accept as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Kate, second by Rob. Are there any other comments or questions? All those in favor? 5-0. Motion carries. So we are ahead of the game for public input, but as you all know, by RSA, we need to make sure that we set aside 30 minutes for public input. Since we're going to start public input a little bit early, we will do 30 minutes from our 6:10 original start time. So that means that we will open the floor for public input at 6:06, and we will close the floor at 6:40. We'll try to remember to close the floor if my helpers can help me, because I do not watch the clock. And I don't think I see any public here, so I'm just going to move on and say that the floor is open. If there's members of the viewing public who'd like to come down, we encourage you to come down in the next half hour if you have comments that you'd like to make. So that was done. So floor is open at 6:06 p.m. All right, moving on. We'll go on with the rest of our agenda, and if someone comes in, we will interrupt or, take their comments when we can. All right. So athletic board report, we're going to start with that. I know, I don't know who's doing that today.
You want to go with our
Yeah.
split up model?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll start with the high school. We are wrapping up the fall season already. We just had our first tournament action as the golf team was up at the D2 state tournament at the Mount Washington. They had a 6th place finish, very close. They did a really nice job up there. Field hockey is currently 9-2-1, and they sit in 5th place. Girls soccer is in 1st place, and boys soccer and girls volleyball are looking to start their postseason action the week of the 27th. Cheer team will be competing at their state tournament Sunday, November 9th at Pinkerton Academy. Unified soccer team had their senior night last Wednesday, October 8th, and the football team had its first win in over 2 years. They beat John Stark on the 3rd. So it's been a really good fall, and winter season starts in 5 weeks, and it's happened very quickly. So
Excellent, thank you so much.
For
Sounds
the-
like it's been a great season.
For the high school, yep. For the middle school, it also has been a great season. They are also headed into the tournament season pretty quickly. Girls volleyball 7-1, girls soccer 6-0-1, boys soccer 4-2-1 are all on track to host first round games. Field hockey team has seen tremendous growth and development throughout the season, and great success from last year. Cross country team is excited to compete in the Tri-County Association Championship. Mine Falls on October 18th. The winter sports middle school are scheduled to begin on Monday, November 3rd, which is not too far away. Looks like all the coaching positions at the middle school are filled up, and the high school is still looking for quite a few.
So winter sports start so soon, November 3rd.
For middle school.
Yeah.
For the middle
Wow,
school.
for the middle
yes.
school, that's
Because
crazy.
I think we really end in February, whereas the winter seasons of the high school continue on through February vacation and even,
And like into March, yeah.
yeah.
Well, does anybody have any questions on the athletic board report? We will talk about the concession trailer during discussion, so we're not going to cover that, even though the information about the trailer is part of his report. We'll come back to that. So, are there any questions related to the athletic board report? It sounds like it's been a great season, and we finally got a little rain this week, so the dry weather, which is bad for the crops, has been good for our sports schedule. So. All right. Okay, moving on to the middle school board report, middle school principals report.
Rocktober, just highlighting a few of the things that have happened the first part of the year, so actually September mostly. We actually put together a rock locker race this year to try and bring back students using their lockers a little bit more regularly in the middle school, with their laptops and all of their belongings, and supporting executive functioning. We were trying to encourage students to use their lockers a little bit more, and the top winning locker, who still needs to be determined because we haven't had our finals race yet, will earn a breakfast from administration. But that has definitely helped our students accessing their lockers a little bit more this year. We've continued on with some friendly games of Contexto, Wordle, Daily Tens, which encourage collaboration, critical thinking across rock groups, and some team building. We did recognize Constitution Day on September 17th. Got a little Instagram shout out to the students that won, because there was a Kahoot that they competed in, and the top 3 scorers got a gift card to the local business. And just a few other fun things that have gone on this year. Looking forward to our Halloween costume contest on the 24th, as well as our PTSA dance that night. October is actually Anti-Bullying Awareness Month, so we are putting together messages, discussions, activities, and rock. And then at the end of the month, actually next week, we will be looking into starting up with our Red Ribbon Week. This year's theme is Life as a Puzzle, Solve It. It just goes along with some of the YRBS data that we took a look at over the last few years to just try and do our part in educating our students around some of the data that we've seen from the YRBS. We have our all-school Red Ribbon photo that we do outside, and SRO Trapani will be bringing in the PD's really fancy drone to take the picture, which students get excited for. Again, I mentioned the dance on the 24th, 7 to 9 p.m. Looking for chaperones still. Highlighted some 8th grade art projects. Miss Ardrake's doing a really great job. I mean, if you guys get a chance, the main hallway here, I know these are just pictures, but a really creative, collaborative circle project that students got to draw their own piece of the circle and then bring it together. And these are 8th graders working on these projects, and she's really instilling a love of art in our students, so just wanted to give her a shout out. I've included my course request and average projections, which is linked there, which we can go through in a minute, and then all the important dates coming up.
Thanks so much, Patrick.
Of course.
Sounds like it's been a busy couple of weeks here, months,
September felt like a couple months.
Yeah.
October is like halfway through already.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's crazy. Are there any questions on this portion of the board report? Thank you. So I think we have a discussion item to talk about enrollment numbers, and the link to that is the high school, but I think at that time we might want to just do everybody's. Is that okay? Are you willing to
Totally.
wait it out through that?
Mine's
Okay.
pretty, as I've said, I think every year for the last 4 years, pretty cookie cutter and prescribed, and it's
Yeah.
very different than the high school, and
Right.
a lot of times the discussion is mostly focused on the high school.
I'm just glad you're here.
But it's good support. It's great to have, and we always have questions about the middle school too.
Sounds good.
So we'll have some. I'll try to think of one specifically.
Sounds good.
just to put you on the hot spot.
Don't want to feel left out.
Yeah, I
It's
don't want you
okay.
to.
I'm
I don't
okay
want
with
you to
it.
feel like, yeah, exactly. Okay.
okay.
Okay, so moving on to the high school principals report. Jake, that is you. So we should be clicking on the October report, right? That's what we're,
Yeah.
okay.
You guys got a hard copy of the school profile. Shout out to Chantel Clardy for the hard work she put into that, to getting that together. So it's always nice to see that and see it on nice cardstock paper with color, the great things that we're doing at HBHS. Some of the highlights right now. Last month we highlighted 3 National Merit semifinalists. And now I get to highlight 6 students who are the commended students. So they didn't quite make that level, but they're still in like the top, like 5% of the nation with their test scores. So Jackson Adams, Aiden Curley, Annika DeVergelio, sorry Annika, Max Frankel, Genevieve Scales, and William Van Erdert. So congratulations to them. Just fantastic to see the great stuff coming from them. We also are gearing up for Red Ribbon Week. The school counseling department is putting together an advisory poster challenge. We're again going this year with the theme of finding your natural high, finding the passions and interests that drive kids. Research shows that when young teenage kids find their passions and are engaged, they're less likely to choose drugs and alcohol. So we're highlighting that and going to do a cool poster challenge with that. And receive a nice prize for the winners. We have Challenge Day coming up next month, so we've started a little bit of a recruitment process with students and staff to get 100 students plus about 25 student ambassadors who've done it before to participate in this, so we can really kind of talk a little bit about how more alike kids are in positive peer support and kind of move away from our differences and bullying and teasing and that sort of thing. So we're excited that ball is rolling and getting ready for November 19th. We'll do our course enrollment conversation today as well, and then just to kind of highlight some upcoming dates, we took the PSAT today at the high school. Things went really, really smoothly, so thanks to the admin team and Ms. Flamino for all the help with that, and the school counselors and all of our proctors and teachers that helped out as we kind of moved classrooms around, so that was really good. Next week on the 22nd is an early release day at the high school, but it's also our college and career fair. I think we have about 75 college, career, military, internships and stuff, so a lot of great things that are going to go in. All the students will have an opportunity to cycle through the college and career fair that day. And then on the 24th, we have Apply New Hampshire Day, so free college applications to any New Hampshire institute or higher education. So that's a really big day at the high school as well. So a lot of good things coming up here in October.
So the college and career fair is during that half day?
Correct.
Yes,
Yep.
okay, great. Are there any questions for Jake? So first of all, I want to congratulate those commended students. That's, terrific. We love to see successful kids, obviously, and kids who are working hard. And then the challenge day, when you say you're recruiting kids who want to join?
Yeah,
are
so we
welcome
do,
to-
we put out kind of like an open enrollment as well. We ask teachers for like, hey, what kids do you think would be great at working together in groups, and kind of put it out that way. And so then they can join if they want, they can opt out. There's different options, but we aim for about 100 new students, and then 25 that have been part of it before that kind of help with the program.
And then just for anyone at home, we got a hard copy of the school profile, which is great, but I believe that if you want to see this online, it's under our school counseling
Yes.
tab
On the website.
on the website.
Yep.
And this kind of lays out for colleges or for applications what our school looks like for kids that goes along with their packet, right? When they apply to schools, this goes so that the school who's looking at the student can also look at what our high school offers and what they were able to take opportunity to and where they fit. So if you have any interest at home, you can find it under the school counseling part of the website, right? I'm saying that, and I'm pretty sure that's where I found it in the past. And most schools have theirs posted, which is great. Okay, thank you very much, Jacob. So we are going to move to we will do the class of sizes during discussion as well.
I didn't know you were including this in the
Well,
question.
it was part of his.
I have a question about it.
Sure.
The school rankings, have we always been considered a Manchester area school? It says we're number 2 Manchester area high school. That's the first time I've ever heard us captured in that.
Where do you see that?
On the
Here.
bottom paragraph.
Yeah.
It's in bold.
Regional area.
Yeah.
That's how
Just
U.S.
wondering
News.
if that's
That's how U.S. News and Newsweek apparently ranks us,
No, I'm just.
location-wise.
I guess that's how they.
I know, I
You'd have
can't
to look
remember
at.
either historic. I'd have to look at historic.
We'd have to go back, but we have them. I mean, I have all of them, so I can check for you. I can go look at last year's and the year before's and see what
And-
that says.
Do these rankings, it's been a while since I looked at it, are they all schools or just public schools?
I
It's
think
a
it's
good question, but I think in
Public
U.S.
and
News it's
charter?
public. I think they have different groupings,
yeah,
so.
public and charter schools.
They
I
have
know
public and
charters
charter
are
would be
always-
together.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I think that's how U.S. News does it. Like if you go into U.S. News and you do private schools, it's like a different list, and they have boarding schools and so. But I don't know.
And Holly, under the Hollis Brookline High School website, under resources, if you go to the counseling office, it's the third thing on the
Okay,
left.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's also on the main high school page.
Okay, I just
Under
wanted
information.
to alert the public, anybody who's listening.
QR code out of the street.
All right, so thanks so much. So moving on to discussion. Is there anything else? There's nothing else because you have the final underneath high school. It's not meant to go. Oh, our student, Samantha. Thank you. I knew there was something else. Samantha, we would love to hear what's going on with student council.
So the junior class is preparing the Halloween pep rally right now, which is taking place on October 31st, which is Halloween. And we do like games like tug of war, scavenger hunt, and then there's also a costume contest with like teachers and students like get voted in. And then for advisory, we're doing a door decorating contest again, which is when advisories like get together and they decorate their door, and then teachers vote on who they think is like the best door, and then that winner gets a prize. And then we're brainstorming policy ideas right now, and we still haven't picked one yet.
That's okay. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Sam? Okay, thank you so much. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to leave. It's really up to you.
Thank you.
And you can sneak out whenever. So, okay, all right. So now we'll move on to discussion. So we have the special education presentation. I appreciate that. Done by Lauren and Tracy, right?
We'll go to this one.
Okay.
Lauren? Oh, well, I figured Jake would have to get up anyway because of the. Sorry, Gina.
Should we do something with lights, or are we okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally up to you. All right. Hi, everybody. So Tracy and I are here to discuss special education in-district programming for the co-op. So I'll be speaking a little bit kind of about an overview of the why and speak a little bit about the middle school programs that we have. The presentation is going to focus on the programming that we've developed and also how our staff has really grown in their collaboration and the services that they provide in order to create the most comprehensive programs as possible. And then Tracy will be speaking about the programs at the high school, and then we'll wrap that up. I just want to start by saying how proud I am to work in this school district that really prides itself on providing services to all students and including everybody within the community. It is incredibly important to build the programming for the students, and we'll start with the why. So Jake, you can go to the next slide. So every student deserves a high quality education and to be involved in their local school community. And I'll let you guys read, these why pieces as we go, and I'll just give an overview. Really what this provides, it gives us the opportunity to build the programming that students need. So we are able to take each student, do what's best for them, and be creative and build exactly what they need rather than sending them out of district where programs may not be able to meet all of what a student needs, but at the same time we're able to keep the ties to the community, keep the ties to their peers, and have students all have equal experiences together. Next slide. So the students receive highly individualized support in their home community. It promotes inclusion and belonging, and consistency and continuity in education. So we've done a lot of work across the SAU, and we're talking preschool through grade 12, and we're going to obviously focus on the co-op, but the programs that we've been building, we're able to build them and think vertically for all students. So the same way that we look at curriculum, we're looking at that with special education programming and development as well. It strengthens the collaboration between our families and the staff. It builds long-term capacity with specialized staff and resources, so we're able to really utilize our resources across all student services across the SAU. And we think very holistically about that as we're looking each year at what all students need. In addition, it's cost effective, and we're obviously demonstrating compliance with all appropriate laws. And we've talked about the cost to a certain extent, here, and what that means to have out of district versus the in district. But obviously we want to do what's best for students, and the cost is an extra component. Okay, go ahead. So for the middle school, this Pathways program has been developed over the past few years. So it provides highly individualized support to students with complex learning profiles. It has specialized instruction in curriculum areas, as well as activities of daily living skills and social skills. There has been a growth with assistive technology as we work with students who have different communication needs as well. And then if you, in the presentation, you can click and link to the program profile. ESY, so Catherine has done a great job building and expanding the ESY, that's extended school year, the programming in the summer. So the current service delivery model really looks at the whole student, and it incorporates a broader range of peers and students across all different development needs. And the program, it's been able to be streamlined to have reduced hours, but it has more robust services and interaction. So there's a greater student attendance, and there's been a great response from families. The middle school has instituted cool down zones. So these cool down zones are places where students can go to regulate if they are heightened or if they experience frustration during school. It teaches coping skills and increases therapeutic support. The staff that works with the students in the cool down zones are able to teach self-regulation skills. Students have different personalized toolkits based on what they need, and the student's dignity is maintained as they access these spaces. I believe we have two at the moment. Specialized writing course, so the board has seen this specialized writing course. We discussed it, I believe, last year or the year before. So there are 3 classes in the 25-26 academic year. The data that's been taken has shown an increase in student skill, and there have been students who have been able to be incorporated back into the grade level English class within 1 year, and it's supported the middle school's ongoing focus on written expression. They've decided to really bring everybody in together. So we've been able to hire in-district related service providers. So when I say related service, we mean occupational therapy, BCBA. We still have a contracted speech provider, but every other provider that we have is not contracted. So Catherine has worked to have the related service providers work more closely with the special education staff in a monthly collaborative PLC model, where when we had contracted providers, that didn't happen as much, if at all. So being able to have all of these service providers in one place, meeting monthly to talk about student needs and work on their programming has been vital. And we're very excited, you know, in the hiring that we've had. Go to the next one. Oh, and we're on to the high school. I don't know if you want to do questions at the end, or if you have questions about middle school.
Does the board have a preference?
All right,
I
then
think we'll let
Tracy go.
let you keep going, and then we'll.
Thank you. So some of these things might seem like I'm reiterating, because some of these awesome things are also happening at the high school. So I did want to, and Lauren has already addressed this a little bit, when we talk about providing a continuum of services. I'm going to talk about our specific programs, but when we use that word continuum, it's really important, because we're not fitting kids into programs, we're designing programs to meet the kids' needs. And so that sometimes means that they might access a little bit of one program and have some skill development in another program. So as I go through these, I want to make sure that everybody, even though I'll talk about the least restrictive to what we would consider a more restrictive within our school, is that all students have access to the general curriculum, and all students have access to all of our community experiences. Lauren talked a little bit about staff. So on that list right there, all the way down to the bottom where it says contracted service providers, we are now all in-house for all of those. And 2 years ago, that was not the case. And particularly if we look at the speech and language pathologist, occupational therapist, and the BCBA, board certified behavior analyst or behavior specialist, those 3 work as a really solid team. They work both, all of them, I'm not sure about the speech and language pathologist actually, but the occupational therapist and the BCBA all work at the middle school also. So that collaborative approach is really working out. And it's just an awesome team, so I wanted to stress the staff. Next slide, please. Okay, our directed study, probably more commonly known as a resource room. This is where students would participate. They're all general education classes except for their directed study, and they would come in here to work on IEP goals. These are students that are college and career bound and are developing these skills that are transferable outside of high school. The focus is, what are they going to do post-secondary? I'm not going to read through every single bullet point, but these are, it's about a 40-minute period a day. Some students have 2 during a day, and they're working, getting to know their IEP, working on self-advocacy skills, working with their school counselor on transition, and direct instruction of executive functioning, which we could all use. So, yeah. I think there was one, was there one before FIMAS? Was that, no? Okay, sorry, FIMAS. So the FIMAS program was designed to meet the needs of our students who have emotional challenges. The program is based on DBT skills, dialectical behavioral therapy. It is case managed by a social worker and a licensed mental health clinician. And these students, they're absolutely thriving. And these are some students that we may have needed to offer out-of-district supports if we didn't have this program. So good work going on there. And the ASD specialist team, this is another one of our resource rooms, but the staff that works in this room, the case manager and the paraeducators, all have strong skills to work with students that are on the spectrum. The students that access this program are not students who experience cognitive challenges, but have average to above average cognitive functioning, but working explicitly on social skills, on regulation, and they meet in there. They have a directed study in that classroom. They also have support during CAV block and do what's called the 5-point scale. the zones of regulation, sorry, two very similar things. The zones of regulation where they're working together as a group on identifying their challenges and developing skills to cope with them. Next slide. So we have two life skills program, Life Skills 1, designed to meet our students who are identified with intellectual and developmental disabilities. They are working on some remedial academic skills and strengthening those as much as possible, and in the community doing work that we have popcorn, they make and sell popcorn, they do lunches for the staff, they go out into the community and practice everything from safety skills in restaurants and navigating life both in and out of school. Life Skills 2, formerly known as the NEC classroom. So this year we closed the NEC classroom, and that was a big deal. So that was a contracted service that came in and supported our students with the most intensive needs. Again, a program that I think keeps our students in-house and in the community. And this is an in-house program as well this year. And focusing it's similar to the Life Skills 1, except that these students may need even more intense instruction to be prepared for post-secondary experiences. And I think this was.
Yes. And like Tracy said, when we look at developing the programming, we're doing it based on student needs. We're not developing programs and fitting students into them, which is what truly kind of an out-of-district sort of looks like, is like we're picking a program and then you're trying to fit a student into it. We're able to have that flexibility in-house when we design and we hire our own staff. So we assess every year from pre-K through 12 to look at what we need and to take a look at students as they grow to prepare them for life after high school. So this is us moving forward together, and we are really proud of the work that has been done, of the teams that have been developed, and the work that the staff and the students are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving together. This, Catherine Ransom and I have been working a lot to keep things aligned and in communication, particularly about the 8th grade to 9th grade transition, and to make that more successful for students.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks. Yeah, we have questions. Can we turn the lights on though for questions? I'm not really good at the dark. Does anyone have questions for Lauren, Tracy? I have some too, Tom, but I'll let you.
Okay.
Okay, no, I'll go first.
Whoever wants
Maybe
to go
maybe
first.
I'll cover all of Tom's and then he won't have any. So I want to just kind of go back and look at a couple of things. So the Pathways program, which I think is the middle school
Yes.
program, is that middle school?
Mhm.
Is that a contained classroom or is that no? So that's just support for kids who are generally in the general
Correct.
community.
All of our programs access the regular education
Okay.
environment. It's just to varying levels
Okay.
of the day. But the Pathways program, the students are
Okay.
all pretty much in their regular classes.
Is that by choice or necessity?
So
you
every
don't have
student
room?
has to access the general education curriculum to the extent that they need per their IEP and per their disabilities. So that's a given, but to what level is an IEP team decision, disability decision?
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. My next question is about the cool down zones. So, I mean, from what you were presenting, it sounds like that's mostly for kids who are struggling. But is that something that would a student who maybe isn't identified, would they be able to access that if we're seeing?
So I'm going to defer to Patrick a little bit if they've started that. So there are some buildings that do
Cool
have
down zones.
students who
Question
are,
about
the cool down zones, do you ever have students who are not identified sometimes access the tools in the cool down zones?
I don't think we.
I don't think they have yet. But it is possible to move
Okay.
in that direction. The whole purpose, though, when you have a cool down zone, is you want to make sure the students are using the tools appropriately and they have the instruction to use those tools. It's been in place for about a year, right, or so-ish?
I do think we had a student last year.
Yeah,
We
so-
do have 3
Yeah.
cool down zones. There's one in
Yes.
the
Oh,
classroom.
they're up to
there's
3
one
now.
in
I
the
thought it
life
was 2.
skills room, and then there's one in a smaller classroom.
Yeah, this was definitely on the budget, I think, for
Yes.
last year. So this is
Yes.
like a
Yes.
a relatively new,
Yes.
new
But
thing.
it definitely can move in that direction.
Okay.
And I do know other districts that have
Okay.
a variety of students use them.
Okay.
But I think we're also trying to naturally create those spaces
Exactly.
for students, not just those designated cool down
Right.
zones, but
Right.
counseling and
Right.
main office.
Okay, cool.
Just making more spaces for kids to access if and when they need.
Thank you. FIMUS is, again, I know students are accessing the general curriculum, but is that also where teachers will push into FIMUS? Like,
Correct.
so any of the teachers, many of the different teachers from all different places in the school come in, right?
Yes, so we have, in each of the four major content areas, we have a teacher who pushes into FIMAS for one period of the day to provide instruction in that content area.
See, I made a list of questions, so I have a couple, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Do we want one more? I have a couple more.
One of the things that we, oh, you go first.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to add to that, that those teachers that push into the FIMAS program come in for training with the staff in that program
Okay.
this summer, so that they are versed in the skills that they use.
Okay.
And they have that training annually, even if they are teachers that have taught in that program in the past.
Okay, and then just, you know, it's great to see that we don't have as many contracts, but I want the public to understand that it's actually more cost effective to not have contracts. It's better for us to have folks on staff. The contractors cost the district more. Is that right? Am I
Yes.
accurate?
Nope, that's 100% accurate. So we had a contracted middle school psychologist the past year, potentially two, and the contract was a good $45,000 more.
Okay. And that's another thing, and I just want to I know you said it, but I'm just going to be clear on this, that it's tricky to say it, but basically we're doing what's best for students, but our out-of-district placements are significantly more expensive than providing in-house programming that is better and more built around our
Comprehensive
kids.
for
Yeah,
our students'
yeah.
needs, exactly, because we're able to design specifically for our students versus the out-of-district. So I can give you a cost comparison. So for one student in an out-of-district day placement, when you look at the total for the tuition and transportation to get them there, because many out-of-districts could be anywhere from 40 to an hour, 40 minutes to an hour away. So tuition ranges from $90,000 to $170,000 for a day placement, and transportation is typically $120,000 to $200,000 a year. So that's just for one student. And then if you have to work your way up, you know, from there, depending on the school. And, you know, with the programs that exist that we have, you know, the numbers of students that are in there, if you do that multiplier, you can
Right,
see
and you
them.
can't tell us, that's for privacy
Correct.
reasons, you can't tell us how many students
Correct.
access these. And then, finally, the links, I actually didn't see the links until you pointed them
Oh.
out. So are those, I know that anybody can get to the links through the agenda
Yes.
and go to the packet, but are those available on the website as all four, or are they something that you
I have
generally
to check.
don't?
Catherine, I know so Catherine had put the links in. So the ESY is a brochure, it's a pamphlet. I'm not sure if we have that on the website, but we can put that on the website.
It's just, those are things that you would, when you're
Yeah.
talking to a family, this is something that you can show them
Yes,
and they
and we
can
do hand
see.
those things
Okay.
out and we talk, so we send that to parents, you know, who have students participating in the ESY program or who are in the Pathways program.
Thank you. I have no more I have no further questions, Your Honor. Anyone else? Questions? Tom, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the presentation. This is a big part of what we aim for. And
Tom, can you put your mic?
Certainly over the years, we found that individualized education benefits a much larger portion of our population than in my day and age it was aimed at, so that's great. I'm looking at the description for FIMAS, and I'm wondering, is that only for identified students?
Yes.
Is the bar low so that how extreme does the emotional need have to be before they can get, because we hear a lot about things like anxiety and
Yep.
other issues among a large portion of our population, and I'm wondering to what degree the services offered through FIMAS bleed into the general population of our school.
So we've been having those discussions. I can't give you a quantifier, unfortunately, for the bar to
Yeah.
meet the criteria to be in the FIMAS program. But we've been talking a lot about what that kind of broader anxiety means for students and what kind of tier 2 supports. We've even discussed having the two providers that lead the services in FIMAS help with some tier 2 pieces for general education students and what that might look like at the high school level, whether we start looking at other groups or other needs, working closely with the school counselor and with our social worker, Erin Saris. So we've been having those discussions to see what that looks like, but for the identification and the program itself, it's hard for me to quantify that for you.
That really sort of plays into what Tracy was talking about, the continuum.
Yes.
It's not black and white.
Correct. It's
you
not.
are or you
Nope.
don't. And I'm wondering, does the staff benefit from the program as far as them understanding more about what tools are available in the school? And are there things that they can do in their regular classroom to address those issues before it reaches the level that requires identification, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can speak more about what the MTSS, the multi-tiered systems of supports, what that looks like and what that's doing, because a lot of these providers a lot of the providers you see here are on those teams that are kind of a whole school resource piece. We're also doing trainings on kind of reframing behavior and de-escalation strategies with staff. And one of the providers in the FIMAS program leads those trainings. So there's a lot of pieces, but I'll let you speak to the MTSS process and whether or not what Tom is saying
I think a lot of
evolves,
what
yeah.
you just said was what I was thinking as you were speaking, Tom. One of the things about, and Lawrence had said this previously, that to access the FIMAS program, it is a team decision. So most often that team decision arises when the emotional challenge is so great that the student isn't accessing school at all, and that this is a foot in the door, and then grows from there, accessing the program. As far as the skills, it is becoming part of our culture, because the people who practice in FIMAS have taught some of these skills to all the special educators, so we do that during our PLC, so it brings it into those classrooms. They've worked during advisory with different groups and gone into advisory, and they are a huge part of our MTSS process, and we are really kind of revisioning that now, and we have a big team together that are working on what can we do as far as, and you mentioned the anxiety. That's a little pervasive, and really focusing on that right now, and how can we.
Can you just explain what MTSS is, just really briefly for anybody who's listening at home?
Multi-tiered systems of supports. The state supports two MTSS academic that's been around for a while, and MTSS-B, which is MTSS multi-tiered system of supports specifically for behavior.
Okay, thank you. More questions, Tom?
Specialized writing course in the middle school, is that the same program that was years ago as an alternative that students could have instead of a foreign language?
No, that's reading. So reading
Oh, okay.
exists,
Yeah.
in lieu of the foreign language, and then the writing course was what was started, I believe, last year. The years
I
are
think
blurring
it's
together.
2 years, actually, Lauren. I think you brought it to us 2 years ago.
I think we
might
brought
be
it to you 2 years ago. I think it started last year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it got
Yeah.
implemented last year
Yeah.
and this year. So that course, students are pulled out of their regular typical English class to really hone in on those writing skills and get those as up to par as possible, and then move back into the English class.
I'm just sort of curious, what kind of capabilities are you seeking to reach in that kind of a program?
In the writing course?
Yeah.
So it's to really work on student skills from the foundational level of even sentence writing and complex sentence writing, to be able to write in longer paragraphs and essays, but also in writing in response to reading, to literature, to those pieces. And it's really, when you have that targeted time, you could use different interventions and different curriculums to target those specifically to get the students up to where they would need to be successful in their
Is
English
it
class.
totally computer-based writing?
No.
They're learning how to actually write?
Well, they don't do everything on the computer is what I mean, is what I mean,
No,
yeah.
I'm just wondering if this is going, because isn't it now required that, I'll call it penmanship?
Oh, cursive?
Yeah, isn't that a required capability?
Not in middle school, but elementary school.
Sit tight. We're gonna
I know, I was like, they're gonna,
put that in
that's Dot's world, that's all.
Anything else, Tom?
Doc, get ready for the cursive questions.
That's nice. I got it. I got an
The
answer.
last question I have is on the staff, that long list of
Yes.
special.
Gina, we'll go back to it. Yes.
Yeah. Which of those are those staff members considered professional staff under teachers' contracts? Are they individual, and are they school year only or year round?
They are professional staff and allied health staff. So professional staff who are under the teacher contract, then there are some that are allied health staff that have separate contracts.
And support staff.
And then support staff is the para educators. that are on there. So everyone is considered a school year employee, but we have work over the summer that we do summer authorizations for people that we need for extended school year. And many of our providers, we actually have, I'm also very happy and proud to say we have not had to contract too much at all for summer providers either. Our staff has been very
Can you remind me?
involved all year round.
Allied,
Allied Health?
is that a separate contract? Or
Yeah,
is it-
it's not on a collective bargaining.
It's the nurse.
Correct, it's on the CBA, yeah.
Okay.
And we did not mention in the slide, although it is special education programming, is the Essentials of Algebra course. Just so you know, that is also a special education only
Is
course.
there an English course as well, or no?
Not,
No.
that's purely special education, no.
And then we also haven't talked about the Choices program, because that's not
That's not
special ed,
special
that's like an
education.
alternate
Correct.
route, if you will, for
Correct.
students. So that's something that we should need to remind the public about. And then we also have a relationship with RSEC, but that's not an in-house relationship.
Correct, that's not a district.
And that would be a really good thing for maybe the SAU governing board to hear more about.
Do we have homeschooled students who are accessing special education services currently?
No, when a student is homeschooled, they are declining special education and a free and appropriate public education, so they don't receive special ed
Are
services.
charter schools required to do their own?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Are charter schools required to do their own?
No,
special
charter
education?
schools, we have to provide special education to charter school students who live in our residence.
Is that a New Hampshire thing? The reason I'm asking is my daughter-in-law teaches in
Yeah.
Massachusetts, and I asked her at her school, she teaches at a charter school,
Yeah.
and they have to provide the services in their school to their students.
Yes, I have not looked into other states, so I'm not sure, but in New Hampshire, we have to provide special education for students who attend charter schools.
Are we having charter school kids coming into our school for special education services?
No, well, we provide services in the charter school.
Oh, you have, oh.
Yes, there are students in
Is
charter
there
schools.
much demand for that?
Enough.
So, does it depend on their it's only on their residence? not
On their
maybe-
correct, it's on their residence, yeah. Private schools is the opposite. If you have a nonprofit private school within your jurisdiction, so Hollis Montessori is in our jurisdiction, we're responsible for child find and evaluations and those pieces for the private school because it's in our jurisdiction, but for charter school, it's based on our residents. It's all very exciting. It's based on our residents and what students live in our town, even if they go to a charter school, say in Nashua or Wyndham or.
So we bear
The cost of special education for
travel
charter
there
school.
as well?
Do we send people, or do we just bear the cost? Or it depends?
Depends.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to be as fiscally responsible and do what's best for the students.
That's great. Thank you so
So-
much. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
Lauren, is the current staff that you have listed there district-wide, or is it only middle school and high school?
This is middle school and high school, 7 through 12. The 2 or 3 providers that are shared are the BCBA, the occupational therapist, and the social worker.
Okay.
Everybody else.
Between
the two schools. This is only co-op. We only did co-op tonight.
Okay.
But I wanted to reference the elementary schools though, because they're doing amazing work as well. And again, we're thinking very vertically as we're programming and developing and looking at our students as they grow. So that's why I mentioned them briefly there as well. But this is all co-op.
Any other questions?
What didn't we ask that we should have?
I don't know.
What were you hoping we wouldn't ask?
No, nothing. No, I'm so proud. We are so excited, no, honestly, truly, and I'm very honest, I'm very honored, to work with all the staff that we work with, and just so proud of, being involved in the district, because when I came into this, like, all this was growing, and it's just been exciting to, be a part of it since, so thank you all.
The
Well,
degree to which this is now a public discussion and an open discussion compared to 20 years ago when administrative leaders of special education tried to keep it quiet.
Sure.
It's tremendous.
Well, I just want to thank you for it. It was a great presentation, really informative. I hope that people out there are paying attention, but what's great about this is that if someone does have questions, we can say on October 15th, we had a great presentation, and they can go and watch it and find it, and that's terrific.
And
these-
direct them
the
to
links-
us, we'll answer.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you both. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's that. It's now 6:50 and I'm closing public input. 10 minutes late, but that's okay. I can be late, I can't be early. So, At this point, we're going to move on to the next item on the discussion portion of the agenda, which is an overview for Ed 306, which this sounds exciting too.
It is exciting, it's overwhelming, it is a lot of change. Mr. Hess and I have been delving into this and trying to absorb it, as are our colleagues across the state. He's meeting with his principal colleagues. I have a meeting this Friday with the assistant superintendents in our area, because it does lead to quite a lot of change, and there'll be a lot of work for you as a board as well, because there's going to be a lot of policy changes. But what I wanted to do this evening, and we're probably about 2 weeks ahead of where you are, we just met on Tuesday to talk about some future planning. Mr. Hess has been working with his staff, his department heads, but also his teachers as well, going through and doing some assessment work as to how we're already meeting some of the requirements that the new laws are going to bring. So what 306 rule is basically it's the minimum standards that oversee all of public schools in New Hampshire. It's a very thick document. There's some very significant changes that have just come out, but for the most part, we have time to make sure that it's implemented the right way, and you'll see that as we go through the presentation. The intent for tonight was to kind of just have this be the toe in the water. We're just bringing it to your attention. It's an overview. We wanted you to see it's a K-12 continuum, and so this will give you kind of an overview of the changes that are coming from kindergarten all the way through high school, with the biggest impact coming to the high school. And so we put together kind of an overview of what we're talking about, what we're looking at and working at, and when you may see things. And for tonight, if you have questions as we move through, we may not have the answers tonight because we're still working through it, but the plan is that we wanted to provide a high-level overview tonight. In November, Mr. Hess will come forward with the program of studies and some of the changes that will need to have board support moving forward. So, Gina, you want to move forward? All of the changes that were made, they were made with input from educators across the state of New Hampshire, and they put a framework together and really put all of the changes falling into 7 key themes, which included making sure that local control was still a focus of the work that was going to be done. And so you'll see that while the state is mandating some things, it also gives local control as to how you may meet those requirements. There are going to be new graduation requirements and some significant graduation requirements, but it is for the incoming 9th grade next year. So it's for the class of 2030. So when you see the program of studies come forward, you're going to see some framework changes and graduation requirement changes, but the actual work in the courses, we will have time as the students progress through the high school in order to make sure that they're in compliance. They focused on definitions, 11 key definitions that they highlighted throughout the documents to make sure that implementation was calibrated and that there was a consistent implementation as to what the understanding of the changes were. There's an emphasis throughout around parent engagement, and one of the biggest shifts is it's no longer as much about seat time and grades as it is about building competency-based education system with very clear expectations as to how students will demonstrate the competency of each of the courses and requirements that they're in. It does allow and it promotes for innovation and flexibility in learning design, and really looking at more integrated courses, also allowing for a lot of learning to take place outside of the traditional classroom and the school walls. And there's an increase to make sure that there's participation in CTE and ELO programming. And because of the increased graduation requirements in the state standards, they're also allowing for a reduction in the requirement of electives. That doesn't mean that we're looking at reducing any of our electives. It just means that some students' schedules may not allow them to take as many electives as they may have in the past. So for kindergarten, and as you see, we go through some of the bullets are bolded. That's to highlight for you changes that are coming that either are new in language or new in intent. So we may have been doing it in the past, but it wasn't quantified in language, or it may be a new requirement. If it's not bolded, it's what we've already been doing, and it's already well established in the work that we're doing in our curriculum and instruction. So for kindergarten, they do not address preschool, so that's why we're starting at kindergarten. This is a K-12 change. So they want to make sure that we see unstructured time built into the school day for discovery. We do that already through centers and different types of play that happens throughout the day. They want child development and learning in all domains: physical, social, cognitive, and language. They want to make sure that we're building socialization skills for students. They did identify music solely. I don't know why they don't include art as well, because it should be there. And one of the things that I'm very excited to see is that they actually have identified the importance of play-based learning, and it's something that we've been doing for a very long time, but that is now really qualified in the language. So they want to make sure that we're doing play-based learning that includes movement. They want students up and moving around, creative expression, and giving them time for exploration. And as we move reading right down into our kindergarten level, they want to make sure that it's based on the new science of reading, and that it includes work around phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. And the good news is that the district adopted a new reading program last year, and CKLA, and so we're already in compliance. This has to be done by July 1st of 2027. For elementary, visual arts comes back in, so they want them to have visual and music for grades 1 through 5, 1 through 6 if it's considered elementary. Again, by July 1st of 2027, you need to have that evidence-based reading instruction, which we already have, and they want to make sure that we're working in digital literacy. In addition to ELA in math, they want to make sure that there is, I want to, Tom, the first bullet up there, instruction in cursive handwriting has to be included by the end of grade 5, and that is now a requirement. Math needs to make sure that they're doing multiplication tables by the end of grade 5, and that mathematical reasoning and calculation, including fluency for all students, is provided for all students through grade 5 by July of 2027. We also adopted a new math curriculum, K2, Eureka 2, and so we are well on our way and are already meeting that requirement. The big change, and you'll start to see this as a theme through all 3 levels, is focused on social studies. They went crazy with social studies. There aren't any standards yet for social studies, but the requirements for what we teach is in all 3 levels. And so civics needs to be included, as well as education on the Holocaust and genocide no later than grade 8. And they're recommending computer science program, although it is optional. For middle school, you'll see on the left all of the bullets are the courses that have been required and are still required. The one bolded area that you'll see for middle school, again, goes to the social studies area, where we need to make sure that our students are being exposed to civics, government, economics, and history, and as well as the Holocaust and genocide by grade 8. And world language is not required. It's optional, but we do include it for our middle school students. Now you see the high school. This is where the bulk of the changes are coming. It's where a lot of the conversations are happening, and you'll see in another slide that they're increasing graduation requirements. However, all the areas that you see are bolded are going to be areas that we need to either make mandatory, and we already offer it, such as writing. We have a writing course, which is now an elective. It will need to be a mandatory course for all students. But they're also allowing you to integrate the competencies. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a standalone course. It can be worked into current courses that we already have. So changes are coming in ELA because we need to have writing. You'll also see the graduation requirement has increased for that. In mathematics, we're going to need to have data or statistics. For students, logic and rhetoric is a new requirement, but is one that can be embedded into other courses. And again, you'll see their focus on social studies, and you'll see a better breakdown in a moment about how much social studies is going to need to be incorporated. Some of it we already have, some of it can be altered a little bit, and some of it will be new requirements. And there is going to be a requirement that all students take personal finance competencies. You have to offer a minimum of 43 classes, but you heard from our profile, what was it, Jake, 140 something, 160 courses, so we are significantly above the minimum there. Our graduation requirements are already above the minimum, which is going to be 20. And you have to have at least 16 content areas, which you see listed here. So competencies can happen two ways, and this works into the flexible local control. You can either follow the state standards, and they will tell you what the competencies for each area needs to be, or you can design local competencies. But if you do that, you need to make sure that they match the rigor and the academic standards that are listed in the state standards. If we're talking about, we need to make sure that anything that is a competency, and when we say competency, we mean we're talking about what students will know and be able to do by the time they finish that course. So it's not a matter of the time that they're in the class. If they can show the competency sooner, and they can demonstrate all of that, that's going to be some flexibility that students have that all schools are still going to have to work through, and will ultimately be the decision of the principal as to whether the student has mastered those competencies or not. So it's going to have some impact on scheduling because of being able to alter how long or when you meet the competencies for that course. And through the competencies, you can do that through either multiple forms of evidence. It could be project-based learning, it could be teacher observation, it can be traditional tests, it can be a group performance, it could be many different ways that a student can demonstrate their mastery of the material. It could be an assessment that has been approved by the local district, so it would be a summative at the end that you wanted to be able to pass in order to show that you've mastered all of the competency for the course. If a local district doesn't have one, the state will have some that you can use as their, if you don't have a test that you want to give. And other assessment evidence gained through prior learning opportunities. So there are going to be ways to show that you've learned outside of school, or you've taken another course, or you've done work that can show that you've met all the competencies, and you can put that in for a review. That's all going to grow as the process unfolds. And again, co-curricular means that you've demonstrated your achievement through other ways other than a set course that shows that you've met the competencies to earn graduation credit. So in general, for high school courses and credit, the changes include your program of studies must align to the graduation credit tables. So you'll see State of New Hampshire diploma moving to 20. We will have more than that, but you need to have a side-by-side comparison. Courses can be offered individually or through interdisciplinary learning. They need to be clearly identified and offered some independent and online, so our VLAX type courses, and how they will meet the graduation requirements. If you have students doing that in the school, you need to have a staff member that will be available to help support their learning. And students need to be, even if you've met, for an example, if you've met all of the ELA competencies, that's one requirement, but the other is that you are involved in courses that meet your ELA and math competencies every year that you're in school. So you can't just say, I'm going to take all 4 English classes and get them out of the way by sophomore year, and then I don't have to do English. You still need to be taking English courses every semester that you are in school here.
In math every year?
In math,
So you
yes.
have to have
So that's
4.
an increase,
You do,
isn't
it is an increase, and you're gonna see
Okay.
where that might come.
That's
It
a-
hasn't
Math
been,
experience has been there a while, and
Yeah.
there was a math experience requirement for all the years that you were in.
So it
school.
was 4 years, it was the math experience was one more
It
year?
wasn't the credit, yeah, it's a math experience.
Right.
So if you
It's
recall,
an interdisciplinary thing.
Right, I understand. I remember the math experience thing. I just thought for some reason it was but it's 3 years of math and then 1 year
An
of a math
experience.
experience.
Fourth year
And
math
that-
competency,
Right, right.
yeah. And the
Okay.
competencies could be an experience, so as
Right.
long as you're meeting math competencies.
So it could be filled out
it
by
could
like
be
a
half,
science
it could be an
class or
elective,
physics class. Yeah, okay.
correct. Yep. And this is an overview of the graduation requirements for the incoming 9th grade class. English must be explicitly delineated at half credit for writing.
Can I just interrupt you, Doc? I think we
Mm-hmm.
already
We do that.
require a half a year of
We
writing.
do.
Right.
We're,
so-
we're already in good
Okay.
shape for many of these.
Okay.
And explicit doesn't necessarily mean separate, because remember, we're talking about being able to integrate now. So we may be able to have a civics or an economics requirement and embed it into coursework that we have currently. We do have, there's an increase for mathematics that we need to make sure that we are showing a half credit in statistics or data analysis. That's an area where we may be able to blend it into current courses. U.S. history is now being separated out, that you have to have a half credit of U.S. history and a half credit of New Hampshire history. Doesn't mean that it couldn't be in the same year-long course. So that's all conversations that are still happening right now, and we won't have those answers for you until we come
It
in
has to be
November.
in the high school?
In the high school.
They still have it in middle school?
That's when you saw, yes, that they need to have some, it doesn't necessarily say New Hampshire history, but you need to have US and some other forms of
But you don't,
history
they
that's
don't
in there.
explicitly require New
They do
Hampshire
not.
middle school?
No.
Constitution.
Logic and rhetoric will be a course that we and most districts are looking at incorporating into standing courses that are already present. Civics, half a credit. Economics, half a credit. History, government, and constitution of U.S. and New Hampshire. So that's separate from the New Hampshire and U.S. history course. That is now a 1 credit. That is, will be a new area for us as well as many other districts. Because then you also need to have a world history, global studies, or geography, 1 credit, and that's an increase from a half a credit currently.
So that's like 4 credits of, that's every year you have to have social studies.
Right.
Yes.
So like the history, government, and constitution of U.S., that could weave in the, like the naturalization exam.
I think they're still working at how that's gonna all look, and we'll have those answers for you in November. We just wanted you to see kind of
Sure.
what the framework was gonna be. And then new is the financial literacy is now mandatory for everybody. So for an example, and I don't know that this is gonna be how it's done, but some districts are looking at making the financial literacy a standalone half-credit course. It could be a senior year course before students leave to go away for college or career, or it could be embedded into math courses that you currently have. So those will all be coming in November when Jake comes to present to the board. Open electives decreased from 6 credits to 4 credits. That we're not saying we're dropping our elective credits, that's the state standard. And minimally, students have to have a minimum of 3 credits every year unless there's some excluding exception on an IEP or an alternative education plan. Now, this is going to be all of the work that you guys have in front of you, and it's going to be massive. All of the I's are around instruction, and they will be coming to the board in November. We wanted to keep them kind of grouped together as one. That's why we're trying to clear some of the policies that we have on the agenda so that we can make room and that policy doesn't become 2 hours at each of your meetings. But you'll see that there is quite a lot that is coming forward. And we've broken them in from the New Hampshire School Board Association. They've listed them in 3 different categories. Immediate, which are things that need to happen because almost all of this will need to be in the program of studies and on the website. Some of it we already do, even though we're going to do a review. So for an example, policy accessibility, we already have website access. So that's, some of it will be quick, but some of it will have, like graduation requirements, will be, I'm sure, a very detailed and lengthy discussion. I think it's an exciting time. It's a lot all at once, but it's been wonderful to sit down and have some in-depth discussions and thinking around curriculum and instruction. And so for me, it's been very exciting.
Does the, could you go back? Does the IHBH, we had a lot of policy discussion about ELOs. Is this independent policy from the one that we had to work on to address the
Are you asking, do we already have IHBH?
You already have many of these, and some of them you've just reviewed recently, and so there may be no changes, or because of the new law, there may be changes that we have to consider again.
We do have that policy, and we do have a policy
Okay.
on ELOs.
Yes.
But whether or not the
No,
language.
I just didn't know if this was
right.
an additional.
No.
No, I think
no,
it's
no,
the
no.
same policy probably. It's just we're gonna have to review the language to make
Yep,
sure it meets
yep.
the law.
No,
I
great,
was gonna say,
thank
your presentation doesn't have them highlighted, but in the board book it does, and it's really helpful to see which ones
It's-
are already.
You actually will. We haven't put any of these in front of you yet?
Yeah, no, the ones that
In
are
our-
highlighted, it does.
We
show
can
them.
click
That's
on
what's
them
here.
and
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really
Okay.
helpful to see on here. I'm just saying that it's not on the slides,
On
but
the
it is
s-
in
oh,
our
okay.
presentation,
Great.
so it helps to see that.
And then as we move to the next
I-
page, you'll see that a lot of them are highlighted
Mine's
in
not.
yellow.
Yeah.
And those are policies, they may not all have been in front of you, but they have been in front of one of the boards. And they are coming to you if they haven't already.
Highlighted but not linked. Okay.
And then moderate is homework, summer activities, and supervision of students. And you are getting JLIA, we just recently looked at. The elementary schools have already looked at and adopted that one, so. That's just
Wow.
kind of a high level.
you
It's
so
a lot
much,
of
Dot.
work.
Thank you.
I think it's exciting work. It can be a little bit overwhelming when you think about the impacts and the work that has to be done. And Jake and his teachers and administrators are going to get the brunt of a lot of the change that has to happen. But I think if we embrace it as a time to stand back and have really rich discussions around teaching and learning and alternative ways of learning, it could be a very exciting time. And we have the time to kind of embrace it because this is for next year's 9th grade. So I think that when at first glance, my first meeting I went to, I called Gina, I said I drove home in tears because it was like my second week at work. And I went to an assistant superintendent's meeting and they were talking about how they were implementing or they're gonna do this and I had no idea what they were talking about. And I'm like, I can't do this, but we've got it, we're good. And so more to come, and if you have individual questions or if there's something that pops up as you're looking at and thinking through things, just email them to us and we'll make sure that we include them in the presentation in November.
So, go ahead.
I just want to add one thing. So Dot mentioned this, but I just want to be very explicit. I asked the two of them to put this together because there's so much, and I didn't want it to come out for the first time with the program of studies because the program of studies conversation is always such a big conversation anyway. So there's so many changes that need to take place, and the way we like to do things is like slow and steady. We don't like to just like throw everything up in the air and start fresh. And so despite the fact that it won't look the way we typically see it, I've really pushed Dot and Jake to focus on next year. And so the program of studies is not going to be able to very explicitly state everything for next year's freshman class. It doesn't need to. What needs to happen is they need to know the changes that are in place for them in 9th grade, and we'll take appropriate amount of time to be very thoughtful about all the different ways we're meeting those competencies so we can do it right. And we're not just rushing to hit a deadline.
So the program of studies will just lay out what the class of 2030 will have to look at in terms of their requirements.
We're going to see our current requirements, and we're going to see new for class of 2030 and beyond, but
It's gonna get phased in.
it's going to get phased in. So we're not overhauling every course because our existing courses are still required for our rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So it's going to look a little different, and I'm just giving you that warning because it's new and different.
It's gonna be like a fade in instead of a flash the screen changes.
What we've noticed in the program studies in the last few years is there's been a real attempt to lay out for kids like a pathway. Like if you take algebra 1, then you can take algebra this, and you can and you just kind of know. But the freshman class of 2030 isn't going to be able to plug themselves into that chart. They're going to have to just kind of get
Either
it.
that or
And
that
for some
the
things.
content of the courses in that
Right.
may evolve to start to incorporate, especially where we've got the overlap.
So I'm getting the sense that if we have questions, we should kind of think about this and bring them to you next month. So this was just kind of a good thing for us.
Yeah, just to let you know that
yeah.
it's coming.
So, because I think if we try to get into,
I'm not looking to get in detail, I just
Okay.
have some general questions.
okay, general overview. Remember, this is an overview, so we're allowing overview questions.
Yeah. My turn?
Yeah.
What is considered digital literacy?
Digital literacy is a lot around how you can be a good digital citizenship, how to know whether information that you're looking online is fake or not fake, what resources
Okay, so
are
it's
safe
not
or
expertise
not.
with specific software necessarily.
No.
And we already do that. I mean,
We
we already,
do.
we have that all
I
over.
just wasn't sure what the
No, I just was like
We have a
commenting.
lot of, we're in
Sorry.
really good shape as far as a lot of the K-8 requirements. The big change is gonna be at the high school level.
On the competency and, it sounds like from what you're describing, competency is not how much, having spent time in the seat of the class, it's demonstrating it. And you acknowledge that there's other ways of demonstrating competency. I'm gonna liken this to what I've seen in some colleges with like AP credits. Some places will give you placement and some places will give you credit. If someone comes in with the ability to demonstrate competency, will that enable them to not necessarily have to take a specific class to get competency? Or will they have to do something to get an alternative credit?
I think that's an area where we're all still wrestling with what the intent of the law means. So those are some of the conversations that are still happening. Because that could wreak havoc on who does that and what do you do if students have met the competencies? If they come in and pass all the tests, do they need to go to high school? And so there could be, just because you can pass the learning objectives, there could be other things within a course that are important.
Yeah.
And so they still need to participate in the course in order to get some of the learning experiences. It's not just about passing a test.
And that's specifically something that we are, I mean, not just us, but everyone's seeking
Everybody's
clarification on, because sometimes it's explicitly stated that credits are required, as opposed to demonstrating competency. Those are two different things. You know, some schools that have really shifted to competency based learning, you can pass the course and fail the competencies, or pass the competencies and fail the course, and and what does that
I'm
look
thinking
like?
of something like, for instance, world languages or something. If someone's a native speaker of some other language and they've got multilingual capability, do they just not have to
Well,
take that course?
It's not
or do they
required, so
get
yeah.
credit? There's all
Right,
sorts
but
of
then
things.
there's also, world language courses incorporate all of
Culture.
the culture and the history, and so, just because you're a native speaker doesn't mean you have all of that. So there's just a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering if we're and you answered that we don't know yet, whether it's getting graduation credits for it, or whether it's just placing out of it, if you will, and I was just curious, so.
And I think as we grow with competency-based learning, some of that will change. I think that our first hurdle and our first intent is to make sure that we're meeting the intent of what the law is and making sure our courses and our competencies of what we want students to know and be able to do are solid. And then it's kind of like an onion. There will be other layers that peel back, but right now we have to deal with the first layer.
So just really quick question. You said you got like a packet. Did that come from the department, the New Hampshire DOE? Is that?
The minimum standards, yeah, I just printed, I can link it into.
No, it's okay. It came from the New
No,
Hampshire.
there's no packet. You
Oh.
just search for it. It's just the ED 306s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ED 306 is a
Printed.
So it's the
Lengthy.
law, it's all in the law?
Yes.
So this is all coming from the law?
Correct.
So the
Yes.
New Hampshire Department of Education hasn't taken the law and like laid out the competencies,
No.
the standards?
No.
And have we gotten state standards for social studies yet?
No.
So we don't have standards, we don't have competencies, and when they say that, like, they're going to give us, didn't it say somewhere where they're gonna give us like competencies or we can choose our own? Have they done that yet?
No.
So you're like kind of flying blind to develop and to revise curriculum for competencies that you don't know what those are yet.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
so we'll pick courses.
really standards.
Correct.
And the standards aren't standards.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so that's why, why I said, let's take a deep breath. We're going to go low and slow, whatever we think is best, because we really have very little guidance. We have to make sure our competencies are rigorous, just like theirs, that don't exist. So we
The
don't.
benefit of that is that they can't say you're not meeting it.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So far, unless they throw out
Glass is half
competencies
full.
like in February, and then, yeah, like after we've already, so, yeah.
Right.
So that's why we're going low and slow. So the first goal is to kind of develop the courses and the structure for the program of studies, and then it's to dig into the curriculum and make sure that the competencies within each course are meeting our own standards, and hopefully those will meet the state standards, because we've generally been more rigorous than the state anyway.
Correct. And if you recall, going back to the other presentation, you said, well, didn't we see the writing course 2 years ago? You're right, because we took a year to develop it.
Right.
And then we implemented it. We don't just come up with something quickly and say, this is going to be great.
Like a,
and
Right.
like a
implement it
cell
right away.
phone policy.
Right. Okay, so are there any other questions on that? Thank you so much.
When they say a credit or a half credit, does that equate to a number of hours, or are they still keeping it in the competency realm?
Competency, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
And that actually is a good thing, because that allows us to embed it into coursework that we might already be doing, because we're meeting those competencies there.
Thanks so much. Thank you very much. Thanks so much, Dot. That was great. We look forward to November. The principals can join us back at the table if you want to come back. I know you're.
Ollie, are you going away in November? Is that why you're looking forward to it?
I might be. Starting to think about it.
Smiling, so that's a good thing.
No, actually, I love the program studies conversation, and I think this is really interesting, and I'm excited to hear more about it. But I don't know if the goal number one, which was that you said, and I understand that you presented, that the maintain the flexibility for local control. I'm not necessarily feeling that right now. So, but that's okay. We'll see. Okay. So, third item on the agenda, class size. Patrick, you can start with yours. That would be great. And we'll talk a little bit about your class sizes, and then so those are underneath the principal's report.
Yep, linked on the second page near the end.
Got it. Thank you.
I have just broken them down by department. So our first tab, I think we're all looking at the same thing, is broken down by math. I included my requests that came in the spring and how many targeted sections we had and the average predicted class size. Again, that was shared out in the spring. And then on the right side of that spreadsheet, you'll see the actual class sizes by each section. So we have 6 sections of Math 7, and the first one is 15. The second one's 9, 10, 13, 13, 10, and that's just how I've broken down my report. Math 7 pre-algebra, we have 4 sections. Those are the numbers. Math 7, we have algebra, we have 1 section. Math 8, there are 6. Math 8 algebra, there are 4. Geometry 8, there are 2. Sorry, there were 2. We did get a request, a student had done what they needed to do to get into Geometry 8, and then over the summer, that same student did withdraw from HBMS, so we broke it into 2 sections, and there is actually, I think, a total of 25, so I'm not sure why that says 10 and 17. But there's 25 students total in Geometry 8 this year.
It's
And there
base
are 2
9.
sections.
What's that?
It's in base 9 probably.
Oh,
Thank
there's
you.
there's only
Yes.
1 section now.
There are still 2 sections. Sorry, we kept the 2 sections.
Okay.
And then we gave Miss Clemens 1 section of Math 7 algebra. Again, just because we were in the
So we have
in the
2
spring
sections
to have
or 1
26, and then when the student withdrew this summer, we were still having our 2 separate courses, but there should only be 10 and 15. I'm not sure why it says 17.
So there's 2 sections.
There are 2 sections this year, yes. I apologize for
No,
that.
it's okay. I'm just clarifying. That's all.
And you'll see we actually only have 2 sections of IMP with the work that Catherine Ransom is doing with her case managers and a new hire of a case manager that has some math intervention experience. We have gone with 2 IMP sections just because, again, our case managers are providing more math interventions there.
So does that, so we've got 17,
It should be 15, Tom. I'm sorry. It should
but,
be.
okay, I'm talking about in IMP math.
Oh, sure. Those are the requests that come in the spring.
Okay, so when you say case managers are providing more math interventions, does that mean that there are more than 6 students that are getting this curriculum, but some of them are getting it outside of a class, or does it mean that the 17 dropped down to 6?
That number is on the high end. Those were based on recommendations from 6th grade and looking at where students actually needed math interventions. There is a higher number than 6. So
So 6 is what it actually
IMP
was
is
determined was number of students needing that?
correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yep. Just going through quickly, English is pretty prescribed. Most students do take English. There is some pullout with our specialized reading and our specialized writing, as you'll see as you get to the bottom. But grade 7 English, 172 students in 7th grade English, and that's how classes are broken down between our 2 7th grade English teachers. Reading 7, there were 49 requests. We broke those into 3 courses. Grade 8, 8th grade has 190 students. That's our 8 total sections between our 2 8th grade English teachers. Reading 8, 2 sections. Read 180, there was only 1 section. Again, I think our case managers are providing some reading instruction and reading interventions, specialized reading, and specialized writing.
Which is the one that's an alternative
Reading.
to taking, but which reading?
Both the reading, 8th grading reading and the 7th grade reading.
Yes, reading 7 and reading 8 are in place of world language.
Oh, okay.
And that specialized writing is the course that Lauren spoke to. That's the 2nd year that we're running it at the middle school.
So, do we have a 7th grade reading teacher and an 8th grade reading teacher?
No,
Or do we have one?
We have reading specialists. We have 1 teacher that does reading 7 and reading 8.
Okay.
And our other reading
That's
specialists
changed,
do.
isn't it?
It's always been.
Oh, as long as my kids are
He does
here.
one.
Oh, no, there used to be 2. There used to be Mr. G and Ms. Kuchu taught it.
Yeah, that shifted a while ago.
Yeah.
When Mr. Thompson was there.
Okay, okay. Just asking.
Something else to blame him for?
I'm so old.
Any chance we
It
get.
was based on certifications and needs
I'm
of
just
students.
kidding.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Just, I'm old.
If there's anybody who can take it, I think it's Mr. Thompson.
Yeah.
Moving on to science, again, that's very prescribed. We don't have any alternate offerings there, so all students take science in both 7th and 8th grade. There's the breakdown of our numbers.
Is there a state maximum for science at the middle school?
Our policy is 24.
No, but is there
24.
It's 24?
Technically, though, the size of some of our classrooms wouldn't allow for us to have 24, but that's square
We
footage.
get creative.
What's that?
We get creative.
We do get creative, but for labs, we need more square footage.
Yes. Social studies, the same thing as science.
No, it's not.
In terms of how we are breaking down our sections, Tom, thank you for being a math guy and being on top of my words here. And then our computer ed and technology ed breakdowns. Off to the right, you'll see the Q1 and Q2 notes. That's just showing that in 7th grade, they take technology and computer ed. So if you take tech ed Q1, then you'll take computer ed Q2. And then as you scroll down, you'll see the numbers for 8th grade, technology ed and computer ed, which they take in Q3 and Q4.
Is that because the same staff members teaching 7th and 8th?
Correct, yes, just the way that we rotate so that each student follow the exploratory model in the middle school, so every student can access those electives. I guess
And
we
what's
call
the
them electives.
complementary set of courses for when they're not taking the computer and technology?
Don't they do music, art? What are the specials?
Yep,
Computer?
those are 2 tabs away, visual and performing arts. Those are art and music.
Okay,
Sorry,
that-
art and health.
So those are the complementary parts of the year?
Yes. The next one is PE, which again is like the way that we target our sections is the same way as science and social studies. Visual and performing arts, we have our art breakdown, our music breakdown, our band and our chorus. You will see that we're starting to get numbers increased, hopefully in band a little bit more than we've seen in previous years, and with chorus as well. Both Ms. Nault and Ms. Costa do a really great job in their programs, and I think we're seeing an increase in those numbers over the last few years, which has been great. And off to the right, you can see a highlight that we had 5 sections targeted for general music 7, but we made 6 sections. And then same thing for general music 8. We targeted 5, but we actually did 4 sections. And that is to balance our teacher schedules and making sure that we're not overloading them and following their CBA. World language is the breakdown for each grade. French 7, French 8, Spanish 7, Spanish 8. We have 2 Spanish teachers. That's why we're able to accommodate more requests for Spanish than in French. And I believe that's all I have.
Great.
The requests from the spring are the last tab. Open to questions.
Any questions? I think we asked as we went along. Are there any additional questions? I mean, you've said it every year. I mean, you have, it's a team. We have a team
Yes.
teaching approach. So there's not as much flexibility in how to make these class sizes change in any way. So are there any other questions? Thank you, Patrick.
Of course.
Thank you, Patrick. Moving on to the high school. And just
So-
for your information, Jake, this is part of policy that we do this every year.
Yeah,
So.
and my favorite thing about being a new principal in a building or district is presenting data that I had zero control over the decision making, so this is my favorite. I heard good feedback about how Tim set it up last year, so I wanted to keep it in the same format that you guys were used to last year. If I were to make one change on this chart, the 4th column, the target sections offered, I'd put that right next to the requests. So I would just move that so we knew how many requests, how many we were going to target, and then what it kind of turned out to be. But I'm not exactly sure how you guys want me to walk through this, or if you have had a chance to look and you just want to ask questions, I'm happy to kind of.
So since it wasn't you that made these decisions, it's pretty tricky, but usually we just get sort of like highlights, like let's take a look at some classes that
Yeah.
were a struggle to, like there were decisions that were made.
Yep,
And there
so-
were conversations when those decisions were made, and what were those problems and how did we get
Yeah,
them solved?
a couple things that I'll say, having principal experience before, when you're setting the final master schedule, you make those decisions of what you're going to run and what you're not going to run. So I imagine a lot of those conversations happened. One thing that wasn't on Tim's list that I included on this were, you'll see classes that have strike-throughs. So those were courses that there were some requests, but they ended up not run at the high school this year. So, Project Lead the Way Digital Electronics, there was 5 requests. We did not run that this year. So as you scroll down through English, there was a bunch of elective courses that there were some requests for, but not enough for us to run, or we had to value other required classes in order to make those happen. So that's something that I wanted to kind of point out as we go through here. For the most part, The target sections offered is what we wound up with. However, there are some instances where we either took away a section or we added a section. In our accelerated English 10, we were looking at 5 sections. We actually ended up only running 4 this year. And then there's some examples where, there was a target sections offered was 1. It's 2 because it's a lower level course. We wanted to break those up so we could get that more individualized instruction with the students.
Personal finance is considered an English class?
It is not. It falls in the program of studies under math, but where it was on this chart and kind of how it was in there, that's where it was on the
It's got nothing to do with who's
It's based
teaching it.
on, who is teaching it.
Is it an English teacher teaching it?
Miss I is teaching it,
Who?
right?
Yes, I taught it last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Is it Chaz?
Chaz is teaching it this year. Yeah.
So our band teacher's teaching it?
Huh.
It gets moved around a little
It's moved
bit.
around.
We've had social studies teachers teach it in the past. Miss I taught it last year.
Do you anticipate with the new state requirement that there is going to be content, if not a curriculum prescribed content that we choose, if not a curriculum prescribed, that will align it clearly with a certain discipline? I mean, I'm used to finance being either in the same area as economics. Is that social studies?
Yeah, so it is not coded as an English class or a band class. So when we report that to the state, those are courses where it shows up as an anomaly and we get a rejection. And we acknowledge that, nope, that teacher doesn't have a certification in the area in which we are coding that class for credit. But also within the state of New Hampshire, you can teach up to 50% outside of your certification area. So it's okay if we do that. We're allowed to. But the way the course is right now, we can be flexible with who teaches it. Same thing with foods. If you recall, Mr. Gerzone taught foods before.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Chaz taught food. So it's one of those courses, if we have so many students that want to take it, and so we can move extra sections around. I envision a revised course for financial literacy that probably varies a lot from what we're currently offering, modernizes it a little bit, and is a little bit more clearly aligned, but not necessarily in one area, not necessarily just in math or more in line with economics or social studies. But I'm not going, I'm going to wait and see what we come up with and what people feel strongly about and passionately about. So we develop a good course.
Great. Are there any other questions or any other things that you need to talk about, Jake? I'm sorry, did we interrupt you?
No, I will say there are a couple of typos on this. I tried to fix them,
It's okay.
but for example, Algebra 1A, we do not have a section of 2009 students. That was a typo on my part there. So again, I'm happy to clean this up and send it back to the board with the updated. But as I was going through it today before the meeting, I did notice that I had a couple typos on here. So I'm happy to clean that up and get you guys an updated version of this.
Were there any classes, or are there any classes that you feel are currently over enrolled? So where you're getting the feedback that the classes are just unmanageably large, or some sections are unmanageably large?
I think we have some sections that are larger than others. I don't think we have anything that's unmanageably large. I think the school district has done a really good job keeping class sizes at a very manageable level where teachers are really able to work with students and students are allowed to get that personalized time from teachers they can. But I don't look at any of this, except for the class with 2009 kids. That obviously I don't know where we're keeping it. But no, I don't think anything is over enrolled. I think we do a really nice job of creating some really good sized learning experiences for kids.
The, in the science where you've got, is it the general science and earth science, is that,
Yeah.
that's a requirement that we have to offer that, right?
So, and that's actually, so there's 11 students in that. It's interesting because there's two ways that you can get class enrollments on Power School. One is running a report on enrollment through sorted by courses, and that's what I did for this. Thank you, Patrick, for walking me through that. And that throws out a number of 4 for that class, but there's actually, if you check this teacher's roster, there's 11 students in that class. So it's one of those weird Power School anomalies where, as I was double checking my numbers before there are some numbers, and that's why I said there's a couple typos and something that need to update. But it's one of our lower level science classes, but it's not the same as like our fundamental algebra 1 course, so to speak.
But is that, I remember us
Essentials of
talking about there was a certain type of science that was the state, I thought, was gonna require that we weren't originally addressing, and we had to create a course for it?
No. So this class is, the bulk of your 9th graders take physical science with earth science, and maybe we'll see a shift away from earth science, who knows. And for some students who have met the requirements, an A in algebra in 8th grade and an A in math in 8th grade, they could be eligible to take accelerated biology as 9th graders. And then those students who who struggle and need additional support, and it's a handful of students, would take general science in 9th grade. Sometimes those students will take them in 10th grade.
But wasn't there an issue with the accelerated kids were essentially skipping a chunk that the state
So they're not really, so they're skipping physical science, but physical science they had in 8th grade, and and they would have chemistry as 10th grade.
Do they have would physics fulfill that as well?
So it's not that they didn't meet a requirement. The requirement is around lab-based sciences, the life science and physical science. So so there wasn't. It was just that in 11th grade they were being assessed on physical, earth space, and life, and we hadn't done earth space in many years. So we, after I left the science department, we made some adjustments and wove in some earth science into physical science. Now the assessment is going to shift back to really just physical science, and the earth science is being pulled.
Is that one of those areas where our students sometimes suffer in the traditional state assessments because of the gap between when they've had exposure and when they're being tested on it?
So my feedback is that you could certainly change it around. I know I'm the person at policy who said that the way Tim presented this to us was different a little bit than what Rick, who was before him, in that he presented to us requests, target, and then like what actually happened. So it was like kind of like a budget, like this was the plan and this is the actuals. And that was very helpful to us for years, because we get a lot of, so you'll get to experience our March meeting, and folks will get up and they'll talk about it. And our class sizes, some of them look very small.
Is that what March Madness means?
Yes, yes. Yes, actually it is. That's what we refer to it as. And so there's some classes that are very small.
Yep.
Some of those are because they are for students who have IEPs. Some of them are because we have always focused on making sure that our students have choices. That's sort of the philosophy of the education of the school district. It's also the philosophy of many of our families and parents and whatever. So there's reasons for it, but it's important for folks to understand that the planning goes on in May, and then things kind of shake out in October, and especially by October. And you can have a class that even in September 1, 20 kids walk into it and they decide, I'd rather have senior options first period and I'll drop my first period class. So like that happens too. So it's just important to see the progression, but you can change the chart how you want. It's just that progression that I think, I'm speaking on behalf of me, but I think many members of the board have expressed that that's helpful.
The other thing that's helpful is to get a copy of it in spreadsheet format so we can sort.
Oh, did I not attach it in regular?
It came
I
as a
thought
PD it
I
came
thought I
to
sent
us
it to
as a
Emmy in both. I may not have.
It came to us as a PDF. That
Okay.
may have been something to let Emmy know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, that's helpful,
Perfect.
because
Thanks,
we'll
Tom.
sort and whatever. But yeah, you can change it or how you want, whatever makes you comfortable. But that's the story that I like for it to tell. That's me.
When I edit it, I'll send it in spreadsheet format for you.
That's okay. I mean, a lot of it is this has evolved a lot over the last 5+ years, and I think that a lot of the things that were driving these desires for different formats were all of a sudden we were realizing there was information there we hadn't really digested before. I think that the administration, building administrators in particular, are doing a great job at respecting the input of the boards over the past years, because we're not seeing a lot of the outliers. It used to be that there was some stuff in there that just wasn't getting addressed. We'd have multiple classes that had extremely low content, low enrollment, and we also had some that had really high, and that was drawing a lot of attention. So there was a desire to really hone in on where are these outliers. They're not there, number one. Number two is we've been educated as a board better to understand there are certain classes that show up in the charts as being very low enrollment, but that's just the way the data is presented. It's not the same thing. So I think that whatever supports your story best, allows you to communicate your goals and your impressions, is probably ideal for us.
Thank you.
And it's certainly helpful to have it's really helpful to see that there were choices made where classes were eliminated. I mean, that was very helpful to cross off the classes that were offered, the kids could choose and that kind of thing. Because as much as that's...
see that than just not have them on the chart at all.
Yeah, I think that's great. So, any other questions or comments for Jake? All right, moving on. Thank you, Jake.
Thanks.
We still have booster club. When would the principals, do they need to be here for the rest, or what do you think?
I'll stick around for the booster conversation.
I was going to hang for the stipend committee update unless somebody's got that.
I can do it.
Do you want to swap them and just do those two now?
Yeah, why don't we do the stipend committee update now? And then why don't we move right to number 10, if that's okay, to adjust the agenda, and then,
You can do it if you're going to stay for it.
you could do it.
Well, no, I don't want to steal your thunder. I wanted to be here just in case, because I know the middle school, I kind of put in a little bit of a request for us to consider the middle school stipends. Just happy to speak to that if I need to.
Just pull up what he actually put for sure, but.
No mention of middle school in there.
I know. No, because we're, the main thing that the stipend
I'm
committee's
inserting
looking at right now for the next, meeting, which we're having 2 weeks from now, we were trying to make it kind of like a recipe where if you had 20 hours worth of time, you're going to be tier 1. So we're trying to kind of clean up the tiers, to make sure that everybody gets the same hours in a tier. And the other thing that we've talked about, which we're still conversation, is the middle school and that delay in 2 years before anybody gets paid. Whether we, I mean,
for a new club?
Yeah, I mean, you could put it, the conversation has been, we haven't made any recommendation, but the conversation has been, can we have a line item with, $500 or $1,000 in it in the budget, and at the end of the year, if it's successful, can we, retro that? Because it's really not fair to ask somebody to give up hundreds of hours for a year and not get anything for it. But we understand that you need some justification to see whether the students follow, just because somebody has an interest in September, are they going to stay with it until May, kind of is the conversation.
Somebody being the student or the staff member?
Both. I mean, the staff members have an interest in some stuff and the students are interested in it, but how long does that last? So I think that's why it's been in that situation where they wanted the delay, but as we kind of pound through this, we think it's unfair that somebody's going to give 2 to 3 years before they get anything for it. And to put a line item in, whether it may not get used, but to put something in the budget where we could go back and retro somebody, because right now, we have somebody who's done 3 years. Was that
Uh,
the Dungeons and Dragons one? that-
3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, he's-
26
Sorry,
students.
that's the high
Yeah,
school,
he's,
yes.
I mean, he's been
And he
doing
hasn't been
this-
paid?
No.
No, he doesn't get a stipend for it. So those are those are just food for thought.
So that's why you wanted to talk, that's what you wanted to mention.
I'm, so the Dungeon Dragons is the high school
Yeah,
piece, but, part of my concern is that, right now we have a group of students that are interested in starting a club, and we have some teachers that are also interested in getting it going, but year one, they wouldn't, receive a stipend just by the model that we have, and that's somewhat deflating for staff that, if they want to get this up and running and keep this going, get students excited, it does take some energy and planning to get
Absolutely.
that going. And then for 7th graders that come in and want to start this club, if they don't get that to happen in 7th grade, they miss out on that opportunity, and then they might even not get it in 8th grade. So I do think it's, worth exploring in a discussion. I'm not saying it's the answer to, our stipend conversations, but at least a consideration. And we had talked maybe even having like 3 stipends kind of held in that
the budget,
line,
yeah.
so that
Like
if there were-
pilot program stipends.
Correct. Nothing major would be like probably tier 1. And then to Cindy's point that we would have to, collect some data on how many students are attending, how often they're attending. And again, that first year would always be tier 1, but at least it's showing,
And that pilot program stipend wouldn't be paid out until
end of
the end of the year, instead of the way the normal
Right,
stipends
so we
are
have
paid.
proof of
twice a
concept,
year, right?
basically,
Right,
that,
right.
that it were actually held. And,
Yeah.
but the other thing that Patrick brought up is they've only got 2 years.
Right.
And if they're interested in something at 7th grade and we lose that cohort, then they don't have anything at 9th grade, then, we've kind of failed them, because they have an interest, they want to do something
The
after
kids,
school,
right.
they want the social,
Right.
part of it, but maybe they aren't interested in a sport. So, the 2-year wait to get paid something doesn't seem like it's really.
So you guys are gonna grapple with that a little bit and come to us with a recommendation.
I mean,
after
our
the next meeting.
recommendation probably more like we kind of talked about, we just haven't written, we have one meeting in October, and then I think Brian was planning on, putting in a recommendation of some sort, just maybe so that it gets in this year's budget, but, and again, it's not something that we have to use, but it's available, and it's not hidden somewhere, and we don't have to try to find money somewhere else, which we have done in the past, like in the summer, we've had people that we said maybe we should have paid them because they had that cohort of students all year.
Do you think it's likely that at the outset, there would be enough definition of the structure to allow for it to be formalized and categorized? I mean, because one of the things that I know that I've heard in the past is the incentive to do it as a club is there's no pressure to have a certain meeting schedule or that there's any minimum attendance.
So that's all stuff that I think
Would
we're
be-
working on. Through the
Yeah.
survey, we're trying to create an algorithm for each tier. So like tier 1 will be X amount of students, X amount of hours, and then each tier would be increased based on numbers, based on hour demands. So then each club would fit into those tiers. We already have the tiers for our
I'm
stipends.
just wondering if it would be a stifling effect if people, well, you're not looking to eliminate the clubs, just to
No.
have an alternate path if something is.
So if a
Probably for
7th
new
grader comes
ideas.
in, we have a few that have expressed interest in a cooking club. We have other ways of supporting that cooking, the students that want to cook, because it's not a huge group, but, if they go around and ask students or teachers, and I ask teachers, and, well, some of them do ask, will I get a stipend? Well, year 1 is volunteer, and if it keeps going year 2, then, then you would, it would be year 3, that you would eventually get a stipend for.
So if I understand what you're thinking about is that someone says, yeah, I want to do it, let's try it, let's see what happens. If at the end of the year, it had actually gelled, we could go back and say, look, this is what it was, let's recognize it and compensate. Is that the thought process?
Correct. I still
Correct.
think it being the first year, being on tier 1, because I mean, maybe that is a possibility we could explore, but I think for budgetary purposes, and not overloading that line, we wouldn't wanna, offer something that the first year club could be a tier 4 club. I
You
think
wouldn't want to do that.
we wouldn't wanna do
Okay.
that. We wanna keep it on tier 1.
So I think that sounds like you guys have some work to do on it, and
Yeah.
you'll bring it back to us next month, and
We're
we can
gonna
ask
do
some more
another
questions.
survey, cause the original survey, we had a lot of comments.
so-
So we're gonna try to narrow that down just so we get
Get rid of the
data, get some real data and not all the comments for the second survey, so that we can get a little bit better idea of where we wanna put the
Great.
tiers.
I'll just go on record saying that the idea sounds reasonable, and I would rather anticipate the possibility of great success
Mm-hmm.
and be positioned to recognize and reward it
Mm-hmm.
than to put an artificial limit on it, because you're not talking about budget busting money.
Mm-mm.
And what you don't want is for someone to feel constrained to try and keep it small because we're starting out as a tier 1 organization. Sure.
Yeah.
I think if you've
And
got
it's-
something with great momentum,
Yeah.
pour gas on the fire.
I agree, and it's so important. I mean, it's important in high school as well, but I know that in our middle school, our kids come from 2 different communities. They're trying to get together. Not everyone plays a sport. Not everybody wants to do a sport, and they're looking for opportunities to be social. And I think, it's so to be social, to connect, to have interests, and so yeah, I think anything we can do to encourage that within reason. Anything we can do and it sounds reasonable to me. So that's my feedback. So you guys can go back.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any feedback on that? Okay. All right, so you guys are welcome to, Patrick, you're welcome to stay.
Thank you.
You're welcome to leave, whatever you want to do. And Jake, you said you were staying. So we're going to move to the, to number 4, and it is
I didn't know,
7:50.
well, again, I didn't know if you wanted to hit the booster for
Yeah,
Jake.
actually, Jake, are you saying for boosters?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
so
in
let's
case.
do that, and then Linda, I feel bad though, because that means that you're going to be waiting.
Don't feel bad.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do, you're welcome, we're gonna do 7 next, which is the Hollis Brookline Athletic Booster Club donation. If you need to look in your board report, it would be the information. Brian did a good job kind of answering our questions under his athletic board report on page 2 or 3 of his report. This is the last page of his report. So, are you going over this for us, Jake? Is that
Well, I
what
just,
you're-
I wanted to hit on, the information Brian attached at the bottom, I think covered all the questions that you had, and that's outlined clearly that whoever owns the trailer is going to be responsible for all those things. And I think that the letter that the Booster Club put forth was, hey, here was our idea behind it. We want to continue working with you guys. So again, after talking with Brian and stuff, I think both sides are happy with whatever decision the board makes. So I think that, it's good to have all the information and just to kind of see where you guys fall with it.
I get the sense from the letter from the Booster Club that they are only willing to go one way, which is that the school owns it.
No.
No,
Well, if you read the statement, it says, where is it? The
Not to
last
own
paragraph, as a charitable organization, the Booster Club's mission is not to own assets, but to raise funds and provide the resources that strengthen athletics. To me, that's saying, we don't want to own the trailer. We'll give it to you, but we don't want to own it.
So the athletic director had conversations with Booster Club president, and they're more than happy with whatever way. I think the intent was to follow our procedures and what we typically do. They raise money, and then they let's say make a purchase, and then we accept that donation. So I think it was all in good intent.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, and to be honest, if we choose not to accept it, it's one less thing for our athletic director to worry about, and the Booster Club can maintain it. I mean, the conversations that go back a couple years were all about how do we get a concession stand up there, and that was just not part of our immediate capital improvement needs or desires because it's just so expensive. But they still had a need to create an opportunity to sell concessions and raise money. And so this was a conversation that was had with the former superintendent who supported the idea. And so they moved forward with it. And the intent was when, not if, but when we move forward with a concession stand up by the turf field, they would sell this. So that's also another reason why it makes sense for them to maintain it so that it's just a single transfer when we move forward with the concession stand.
I think I was probably the loudest noisemaker last month, and especially seeing what's outlined here, the health and safety regulations, the registration, those two things alone, I continue to prefer that it not be a school item. Two reasons. One is the time necessary, but the other is these become unbudgeted expenses that often are trigger items in discussions. The logistics, if it is possible and reasonable to have this benefit, I agree that this is a good thing and a nice thing, but if the Booster Club is willing to maintain ownership of it and take care of these elements, that would by far be my preference.
Anyone else want to weigh in?
It would be mine too. I just, like, anytime, I mean, it's an incredible offer, but just, it's a lot to maintain, and who's gonna do it, and the funds, and just, it's still, it would, if we accept that and we're maintaining it, it's still being used by non-employees and parents, and, you know, the food's supposed to be removed, but maybe I forgot to remove food. Like, there's just so many variables, so I think it's an incredible offer and gift, but I just think that it's opening us up to a lot of questions. Like, it's, there's a lot, and the health and safety is the big one for me too as well, but I think if it was only being used by our coaches, or only be like some kind of other type of gift, that it's a little different because our coaches go through training and they're employed, but this is used by parents, and I'm a sport parent, like, I'm out there, but I just do what I'm told to do out there. I don't know this is the checklist that's been provided, so I just think it's a lot, and it's a lot to put on the district too for somebody to maintain like Brian, but that's my bigger issue, is so many people be using it and don't understand these are the rules.
I agree.
So
Anybody else?
We're gonna have some of the same questions when we have a permanent food stand up there, or even when we have temporary food stands up there.
Yep.
So these questions should be coming up at any point that
If we
food
have.
up there.
If we have.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a good question about whether or not we want a snack shack or a concession stand. Other districts have them, and parents.
We already have two.
right, I mean, we
Right,
do.
we already have two,
We
right,
have two.
right.
One
We
at the
do.
track.
That's true.
And we
And
have
one
one at the
in the
baseball
buil-
field.
yeah.
Yeah, so
I
we
would
already
say
have
though
them.
too, it's a little different though too, because this being a trailer, it can be moved around everywhere. So this opens up how many more people. So if we did have a permanent concession stand, I agree. The same questions, like we still need a permit, we still need certain things, but it's going to be more limited. It can be posted a little bit better. Like, there's more space potentially. Like, this is really, like, this is going to be used by a lot of people.
is the
Are we overthinking this though?
Is the school pulling permits for the other concession stands right now, health and safety permits?
I doubt it.
Parents
I can
do
tell you,
it.
I organized the baseball concession stand, and I did not. I mean,
Are we overthinking this?
I don't think so.
This is a gift, and in their last sentence, they say, that they, in their offer, continued support in caring for and maintaining the concession trailer. I understand that to be that if they gave it as a gift, they would still be, part of that gift would be continuing to maintain it. That's how I'm reading this. I could be reading it wrong. Am I the only one?
No, I think that's what they're saying. I mean, I've been very active in the Booster Club for many years. Sydney was active for years. I mean, we've been members of it because it's separate from the schools. I mean, this is definitely a group that are going to ensure that it's used appropriately, that they are going to make sure that rules are followed. I mean, they're not going to let it go nuts. Like, it's not like that at all. I share Tom's concerns, and my big concern is we have such a great partnership with them, and they do so much for us. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Like, I really don't. That sounds silly, but that's part of what I'm thinking about. Like, I think we can certainly own this and be fine with it. but I also think it's probably safer. And the one thing I think about is they're using it to raise funds for their organization. So, and that is, those funds help our kids, but we don't control those funds. Those funds are controlled by the Booster Club. So that's where it starts to get to me like, well, if they're going to be raising funds for this, then with this trailer, and it isn't permanent, it's temporary, I feel like it's fine for them to own it and maintain it and manage it and work with Brian to make sure it's used fairly and appropriately. But, I mean, I could probably go either way.
I'll have to say that this concern I have is that it does move. So, you know, it went to Old Home Days. That's what I don't love. Who's moving it? We're not.
Mhm.
And when it's being set up, is it set up in a stable way? And I mean,
This already exists.
it exists. It's up by the turf field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've been
it's
using
already
it.
ready. They're using it.
And who's been dealing with it? So why does anything have to change?
It doesn't. I think they wanted to donate it to us as an act of generosity. I mean, this group donated a lot of money to the turf field.
Yeah,
They've
no,
donated,
no,
like,
that-
they
that's
are
fine.
they are a generous group. Their goal is to support our athletic teams and our athletes and our kids. And I think they thought, we have this, we should donate it to the school. I don't think they were trying to avoid any, I'm totally assuming here, any responsibility or anything like that. I think they were just like, here, this is for you. But they ran into our board. So, no, I don't think if we make a motion, it'll pass. So I think we need to let them, you know, I'm gonna not
I
ask
think
for a
we have to
motion.
make a motion to accept it and then vote on that.
Do we
Because
have
they
to?
have
Didn't
made
we?
an
Some
offer, it was
definitive
brought
answer.
to us
Okay.
as a motion, as a,
Well, technically, we'd have to
take it off the table.
take it off the table. So if
Yeah.
it's not taken off the table.
Yes, we should probably take it off the table is my
No, but I
thought.
mean, we could, if
You
we
can
just
just let it
choose
sit
not to
there
take it.
indefinitely, it can die on the table.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's really respectful either.
Yeah, I don't.
You wanna
Not
take an
to
actual vote?
Not to
Okay.
provide an answer and
Okay.
just let it fall on deaf ears. I think it's more
Okay.
appropriate that we've heard it, we've considered it, and we've answered you.
Okay, so we're gonna take a vote on it then.
Well, we have to vote to take it off the table first.
Or make it,
Take up the question.
I'll make a motion to take the donation of the concession stand off the table.
Second.
so if we're taking it off the table, then we're taking it up, right?
And then you have to make a motion to either accept it or not accept it.
Okay.
Or make a motion.
So Cindy's made the motion to take from the table the Hollis Brookline Athletic Booster Club donation of a concession trailer.
And that's seconded.
Beth seconded. All right, all in favor of taking it from the table? So that's 6-0. And then I need a motion to accept with gratitude the Hollis Brookline, well, I'm just gonna make a motion to accept the Hollis Brookline Athletic Booster Club donation of concession trailer and associated implements having an approximate value of $26,000.
Second.
Who moved it?
Oh, I thought you moved it. I thought you said I'm moving it. Sorry.
Oh,
I thought
I
you
guess
said
I
that.
moved it, sure, I think
thought
I'm
you-
allowed to do that. And
I
Beth.
think you said that. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, any more discussion on this?
Yeah, I won't be supporting this because I think it's, there's a little too much unanswered questions. And I'm concerned that, you know, though we continue to operate it and getting funds from it and an asset that we would own, I don't like that.
Okay.
But it's a very nice gesture and it's well appreciated. It's just complicated. So,
I also think that the way that it's structured right now, without us owning it, actually serves its purposes better than if we don't own it, because
less
then
limited.
that might place restrictions on its use that would be contrary to the value of it.
yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say that I fully understand why the vote is going to go the way it's going to go, but just in a show of good faith and support of the Booster Club, I might not vote that way.
Yeah, I think I might
That-
vote with
that's-
you.
that-
And
that's
I
fine.
agree with you, Kate. I mean, it's such a generous thing, and we've accepted things from the Booster Club for the last 25 years that I've been in the district, and I'm not gonna not appreciate it.
Mhm. All right, so it's gonna be
Well-
interesting.
I know, I was
I
gonna say,
I don't want a vote in opposition to be automatically construed as a lack of appreciation of the gesture and the
100%.
value of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
It's
agree.
strictly one of the mechanics of ownership and where ownership would be most productive and beneficial to the community. And I think that the ownership resting outside the district is most beneficial to both the community and the district.
And I think you have totally valid, I mean, I think there's totally valid.
I'm just
concerns and
concerned if we're
questions.
gonna get a 3-3 vote, that's an approval.
Well,
No,
think
no,
it has to be-
no, a
No.
3-3 vote's the opposite.
No.
You sure?
Yeah, I
It
think
has
that
to be
it has
a
to be,
majority.
it has to be a majority
Or
to
it
get an
does.
affirmative. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
that's what I was just going through.
yeah.
The 3 trainings I've gone through.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think we
Well, I
need
think-
And let's see
a
what happens.
majority. for
I
it to
think
pass.
one thing too is if we own it, I mean, the Booster Club changes constantly, constantly. So I think if we have control, we have more to say about it than if we have no idea who's gonna be the Booster Club president next year or the year after that. And I think that has a weight on me that means that anybody could be in charge of it, and we have nothing, we don't know what's going on. At least if we have a hand in it, we know what's going on, we can get feedback.
Yeah, but so that actually,
That's
that actually concerns me more
Yeah.
because we need them to promise to do what they're gonna do with it, and so that is more of a concern for me, that like the group that's doing it now is very interested and very into doing it.
Right.
But if we take the donation and then they fall off, then it's gonna become 100% on us. And then, so that actually convinces, it's not gonna be a 3-3 vote. So, I'm gonna vote no as well, yeah. So, anybody else? Okay, all those in favor?
Oh, sorry.
2. All those opposed? 2-4, motion doesn't carry. But we are very appreciative of all the efforts of the Booster Club. I do want everyone at the Booster Club to know that. 2-4. Okay, moving on. And Jake, have a good night. Enjoy, take some candy for the road. Great, thank you.
Night, Jake.
Okay, year-end revenue and expense update. That would be our friend Linda.
Okay,
To find it now.
so our annual financial audit happened over the summer, and we got our the reports back last month. And so this report you're seeing is reflecting those results from the audit. Our expenses ended up being $1,088,940 below budget, but we've been projecting all year a significant budget surplus, so this was no surprise. And I just wanted to summarize, since it's the year-end report, a few areas. One is teacher lane changes. This occurs when teachers move to a higher level of education on the salary table with a corresponding higher salary. We saved over $50,000 because of fewer teachers making these changes. And I just wanted to point out, like right now, we're budgeting for a year from now on teacher lane changes. So the teachers will tell me, I'm expecting to go from bachelor's to master's, and then during the year it may or may not happen. So we budget what they give us. We saved $170,000 in special education contracted and out-of-district services, like Lauren alluded to earlier. And we did not use the $125,000 contingency fund, which was in our budget. And finally, we saved money, which we've been saying all year, from hiring staff at lower salaries than the staff who leave, and vacancies throughout the year, which also results in corresponding employer-paid benefits for taxes and retirement. So, on the revenue side, we ended the year with a surplus also in revenue, bringing $486,288 more than budget, and about half of that came from grants. Combining the expense savings and revenue surplus, the projected unassigned fund balance at the end of the year, $1,150,227 before funding the retained fund balance, which is next up on the discussion,
Right,
the memo from our business administrator.
great. So are there any questions on the end-of-year report and explanation, before we move to number 6.
So the 1,150,227 is a solid number, and the further discussion could deplete that number.
Yes, the retained fund balance would lower that number.
Yeah, thank you.
Correct.
Are there any other questions?
And just to remind you, in the May meeting, you authorized the expenditure of some of this money for ADA changes to the middle school, as well as starting the middle school roof. And so this number, 1,150,227, includes already encumbering those funds for those items. Well, obviously the middle school's already done, so.
Okay, so moving on to the business office memo, number 6, retained fund balance memo.
Gina, do you want me to read that,
Sure.
or I'll leave it with you.
Okay. So as you can see, the report that Linda just went through showed that we have an unassigned fund balance of 1,150,227. And the business administrator's recommendation is to approve a retained fund balance of 500,000 for FY26, which is approximately 2% of the net assessment. And then he also identified different amounts. Last year, if you recall, we had a conversation, if the middle school boiler were to fail mid-year, Annie's recommendation was to have a retained fund balance of higher than this number, but you guys didn't like it and you wanted to have something solid, so we switched it to a closest percentage as possible, and we went with the 2%. But he identified various numbers, if you don't like his recommendation of the 500,000. If you wanted, well, what would 1% be, et cetera. The 2% gives us some flexibility if something were to occur, if, the high school elevator were to break sooner. We've been saving over time, but if it were to go, right now our maintenance trust does not have enough to repair it. So it gives us the ability to have a pool of money if there was some emergency, and year over year we have not used it, so we are sort of true to what we say, that we only use it in an emergency.
So, now, please remind me, does this lapse?
Yeah.
So we're not accumulating from
Correct.
prior years,
Yeah.
but the recommendation is based on more on availability than on identified need at this time?
Correct, yeah. So it's more of that emergency that is not in the budget. Certainly, we always look to utilizing budgeted funds first, but if the stars are aligned in the wrong direction and we are maxing out all of our lines, there's no place to go, and sometimes there are things we simply just have to move forward with, such as an elevator in the high school. If we need to utilize the funds, we have a public hearing, we get your permission. It's a noticed conversation, so other people can participate in that conversation. And then if we don't use it, which we haven't been, it falls to the lapses, and it becomes part of the balance for the next year.
And for reference purposes, we had been using 340,000 previously, so this is 500,000 is a little increase from
Right,
that.
but it's still at the 2% level.
Correct.
When was the last time we needed to use these funds?
I believe the last time we used these funds were prior to my position here, but I want to say it was when I was on the board. So between 2013 and 2016, when the elevator at the high school broke the day before school started.
Yeah. So it's been.
And at that time, it was a little different. We had to petition to the state to be able to utilize it.
I recall that. So it's been
Quite some time.
12 years.
Yeah.
So why is the motion on the bottom of the memo? It
It's
says
always there.
no, but it's different. The sum of 284,000.
Oh, because that was probably
That was
copied from the Brookline memo
okay.
or the Mills
Okay.
memo.
So so the motion that Dawn has is it's the
Correct.
500.
Yeah.
Okay, and so just to clarify, if we retain $500,000, it's 1.150227 minus 500, so $227 goes back to the taxpayers. Is that what happens?
Correct.
In the form of in the next year's
Reduction of the
budget, in the reduction of the budget for next year, reduction.
Reduction of the
Taxes, okay, okay.
I don't know about anyone else, but I've seen at the town levels and stuff, a lot of concern about the budgets and some of the healthcare stuff that's come through and various things. I'm a little uncomfortable without defined needs of going this high. I would be much more comfortable supporting the 1.5 range number. That's me.
Yeah.
Is anybody else in the same?
I was gonna
place?
say
Yeah.
exactly the same thing.
So you want to make the motion to be for 376, 443, or for 375, or for like, can we make it can we make it like a nice even number?
In that range, but I'm generally supportive of the consensus. So if I'm an outlier, I'm more than willing to hear it, but if other people share that view, that's the direction that I would tend to opt for, especially in light of the fact of numbers we've had in the past
Mm-hmm.
and the great budgeting that we've had to date that has allowed us to get by without having to tap these resources recently.
How comfortable is the business office, are you with a 375?
No, I think, I agree with Tom's point. There's not one item that I feel is imminent. And even if the elevator did go, we've already put aside one of two of four. So it wouldn't be the entire amount anyway. So I feel very comfortable with the 1.5%. We went with 2% because that's what you did to approve last year. But there was an identified need of a boiler in the middle school if it were to go in the middle of the year, and we don't have that this year because our boiler is up and running.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Linda? You good with? So is 375 a good number to put out as a motion?
I like using the actual 1.5%, and
Sure.
I'm willing to make that motion right now.
Okay, go ahead.
So I will motion to retain up to the sum of $376,443 in the retained fund balance for fiscal year 2025, which represents 1.5%.
Second.
Okay, motion by Rob, second by Beth. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor? 6-0, motion carries. Okay, and Linda, you know that you're free to
Move
step
about the
away.
country.
If you
Except
want
for
to.
TSA.
Thank you for waiting through all that other stuff. Okay. Facilities committee update, is that where we are now? Because we are at 8:22, so we're about a half an hour behind.
Skipping 5, right?
What?
We're skipping 5.
We skipped 5, yes.
Yeah, she said to
So
skip
we didn't meet.
That was the
so-
agenda jump.
So facilities, good,
So
didn't
that's
meet.
the fastest
I'm gonna share
update.
The co-op, or the middle school boiler is up and running.
That's
Okay.
excellent.
Excellent.
We've ordered all the materials for the solar, so that's underway. We've paid lots of bills, and we're shifting to a quarterly meeting schedule for the co-op facilities committee, as we're really just providing updates at this.
Just a question, Gina. Do you know approximately what percentage of the
Well
bond
over the
amount?
5%.
And do you know what's covered in that? What's being purchased?
One battery and all the panels for both groups.
And we-
Because they're separate projects, so we need to make sure that we
Hit 5% on both
Get them both
projects.
funded.
get 5% on both projects. But based on the concern about where we purchase materials from, we made the decision to purchase all of the panels for both roof projects now before, in the hope that
Before we can't.
before we can't, exactly.
Great.
Do we have to
Do we
s-
know where we're going to store them?
We have to store them, and they'll be stored on site. They have to be on site in containers.
We're bringing it. Do we have to rent them separately?
The EEI is taking care of all that.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And then a budget committee update?
It was not an overly momentous meeting. However, there was one big topic that came up which wasn't even part of the agenda. And that was that, triggered by one particular member, the discussion of how how can the budget committee be included in the conversation about the negotiated contracts? In the past, they have met around the time that we actually start negotiations, and the budget committee has offered suggested topics or guidance, but they've done it with no context. They're not particularly familiar with the contract, nor with the goals or strategies of the school board, or an awareness of what has been discussed in the past. So this being an off year, they're asking, is there the ability for them to somehow be brought into a strategic conversation outside of an explicit negotiation? Towards that end, I have reached out to Tom Clausen to find out what the legal limitations are of having any involvement with them, because I think that in and of itself may be a restriction, but if permitted by law under certain conditions, if we could have a discussion with the budget committee or a representative of the budget committee, it certainly, I don't think we'd want it to be
Oh, no.
a quorum. I think that there's potential benefits. If you think about what happens in a community that doesn't have an official budget committee, the budgeting and the financial goals are inextricably linked to the strategy. In a situation like ours, they are not, and the way the conversation goes is that with a couple of days often at most of notice, they're presented with a tentative agreement and being asked to support it or not support it. And that creates tension unnecessarily, in my opinion. So what's interesting is, and it was a public discussion, so you can watch it, the person who was bringing it forward was really upset that we weren't paying our teachers enough, and thought that we should be paying our teachers the same kind of money that they can get if they take their services to industry. And
Okay.
the situation being what
So
it
that's
is,
interesting.
I'm as the school board member of the budget committee, I'm in no position to even discuss that topic with them. I can just listen, and I would very much like to help them understand some of the things that go into the discussion.
So I just want to say that I think it's super important. You're very good at taking this to the higher level and to making sure that you're talking about like broader strategy. My concern is that it can't get into specifics. Like, it's so clear, and then also my other concern is that that's a very financial view, and as you know, our contract is so much more than the finances. And so, but those conversations can't really go on in a public setting with the public committee. So I am concerned. I'm not saying no. I don't have a right to just say no. I mean, I can vote no, whatever, but I'm concerned because you're good at making sure it's high level, but I don't know if everyone else, and I'm not saying they're not good at that, but the understanding would have to be like, we can't talk about specifics. We can just talk about how negotiations work. Like, and that's, do you
Yeah, so what we've done in the Hollis School District is when we're about to begin discussions and set up a date for ground rules and stuff like that, I would signal to the budget committee that we're entering into this phase, And from a high level, what are the high level financially related issues that you would like us to consider as we build our strategy, negotiation strategy? I offered that up once. I didn't want to get into a deep, long debate.
So you just listen to them?
Just tell me what's important to you.
Right.
And we'll take it back. And if we can build it into a strategy, we will. If we can't, we can't. And that's as far as we went. We did not get into, are we paying the teachers enough or not, or any of this operational stuff. Absolutely not. Can't do it.
And you then went back to the board in your non-meeting and went through as you went through your strategy, and you might not have actually taken everything that they said.
Usually
right?
that comes up once we have a tentative agreement and we're bringing it forward. I would recall that input and said, this is where we took your input and weaved it in, and this was what we're able to achieve. This is what we couldn't do. And so I'm making sure that they had a little bit of skin in the game, so they're going on the journey rather than me kind of to sell them an agreement that they had nothing to say about.
Gotcha.
And if they said nothing at the time we offered, then I was kind of like, well, I don't want to hear any crying then at the end when I bring what we were able to do. So you had your opportunity, you gave us nothing, so we went with what we had.
I think this is a different goal, and it was framed specifically in the context of it being in a non-negotiating time frame to understand the goals and values. So I would see the conversation, first of all, it would have to take place in a non-meeting or non-public environment because it pertains to strategy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Second of all, it would be a school board meeting with a guest,
I gotcha.
as opposed to a joint meeting of any type.
Okay.
But whether or not it occurs is dependent on two things in my mind. One is that it's permissible because I don't want it
See
to
what
be
Clausen says.
labeled as unfair labor practice. And if that's not there, then it needs to be supported by at least the majority and preferably by the full board,
Okay.
that there be value in doing it.
So
So-
we'll wait and see what Tom Clausen has to say, and we can talk more about this because we are running up against the clock here, so.
Yeah.
All right,
So
thank
that
you.
that was it.
Complicated.
It is complicated, and that's all I wanted to say. Okay, so moving on to deliberations, we already did number 1. So we're moving to the policy memo. It's a little complicated, so, I mean, the policy memo isn't complicated, the deliberations are a little more complicated. So, we're gonna make a motion to, where's the motion? Oh, I need a motion to approve the recommendations identified in the policy memo as presented. Can we talk about the policy memo first and then do the motion?
Yeah, because
Can we do
need
it that
to-
way? Yeah, we have some changes to make. So let's, because we're probably gonna amend some things, so we're gonna, can we do it that way? Like, talk about the memo, amend it, and then we'll make a motion. So I'm not asking for that motion right now. First thing, we had, we reviewed 2 policies that this would be for 4th reading and adopt with minor changes. JIC student conduct, what were those minor changes? Do we know? Amy's not here, and Amy really does a better job tracking things than I do. But Dot said she had it, right?
Yep. It was so
Sorry.
minor for this one, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I can look to my notes.
Emmy printed my copy so small I can't read it.
I know.
Here, can I see? Oh, is that the policy memo?
Oh, this was just to remove the live links in the handbook.
Okay.
That was the only change.
Yeah, so I think you asked Tom, last time you asked us to remove some of the live links in case they didn't work, so we did. And then IHAM was also minor changes.
That I have a question about it.
IHAM?
Yeah.
Okay.
It incorporated the item that I asked about, which is students over the age of 18.
Right.
The only additional minor grammatical change in that same section, this is part of the opt-out procedure. In the first sentence, it now is parents/guardians who do not want their child to participate in a particular blah, blah, blah. I would suggest inserting the word minor before child, so that if they have
Okay.
a child that's over 18, you don't have a conflict between that and the added sentence.
Are you okay with making adopting it and trusting us to make that change? Adding the word minor child to it? Like, we'll amend it right now and change it to minor child.
Yeah, I don't care what the procedure is.
Right.
I just think that it would be
Yeah, I think that
avoiding a
makes sense.
potential
We can
conflict
add the
to
word
add that
minor.
word.
We can add the word minor to that. That's easy. That's easy, but we're
It's a
gonna,
minor change.
we're gonna make that change right now, and then that's what we're gonna be presenting, okay? So IHBA, IHBAB, and IHBAM, we had no changes, so we didn't get any changes from the first two readings from well, we might have gotten it between first and second, but between second and third, there were no changes, so that's a third reading and adopt. Second and reading and adopt with no changes is JJJR.
That's the one that we need to.
Okay, so we have a change. So it's gonna be second reading and adopt with minor changes, and
So
the
it is going to be
changes.
still adopt?
Yeah, it's gonna be second reading and adopt with minor changes, right? Or
Yes.
you wanna adopt it?
This was
Yes.
the committee adopted changes that the school committee talked about in the last meeting. They just didn't technically get into the
Okay.
this. So if we can adopt, we will make the two changes. And they were in number 5 on page 2. Tom had asked, and we supported striking "are expected" and putting in the word "must."
Okay.
And then in number 6, to take out "athletic" and put in "extra" and "co-curricular."
So those were changes that were suggested to us last time, and we agreed to make those changes, so we just put it in the policy memo incorrectly. We did make those changes, and we also linked it incorrectly. So, so the new policy will have those changes that were recommended last month by you, Tom.
This is JJJR?
JJJR. It should be linked on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, I don't see.
So if you go down under number 5.
C, section C, number 5?
Right, so
Yes.
section C, number 5, it's participating non-district students, instead of are expected to abide, it'll be
got it.
must.
Thank you.
And then okay, so those were changes that you actually recommended that we made, we just didn't do the policy memo
Didn't get
right.
caught in the print.
And then we have first reading first reading never has changes. So for first reading, it's parental bill of rights, which is AB. Let's just go over that one.
Brand new.
And that's a law.
It's a brand new policy. This is directly from the law, and it's been, I believe this was crafted by our attorneys, or was this from
This-
the NHSBA? It's just the law.
It's just the law.
It's
It
the law.
came through the School Board Association, but it's just directly from what the legislator passes.
Did anyone else read it?
Mm-hmm.
It's
the law.
I understand, that's even scarier.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a nice comment. That's good.
EB.
And then, I've lost the memo now, okay. And then we had first reading with minor changes, EBB and EBCH, so it's like a lot of flopping back and forth here. What did we change in the school?
EBB was just to take out the phrase in number 2 on page 1, students during school hours and school-sponsored activities. And above it, we added in property as defined by those laws during school hours and during school-sponsored activities, whether or not on school property.
Okay. So again, this is directly like due to law changes. And then we have
And then in ABCH,
EBCH, yeah.
ABCH, there is a sentence at the very end that is being added in that says the copies of the updated plan and procedures should be provided to the board no later than the start of each school year. Recommendations requiring board policy change should be brought to the board policy committee as soon as reasonably practical. And we also need to add a sentence in here that we will use our own templates and bring those to the board.
So
because
we'll
we're
do
not
that
using
change the
in
next time.
meeting.
Okay, in the
Yeah.
next meeting. So this is for first read.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, where are we in having a person to do it? We created the stipend for it, right?
Yep, so we hired the person last year, so we were in compliance before anyone even knew what a chemical hygiene plan was. So we had the
We do-
plan, we had the individual who stayed on board this year as well.
Cool.
Might be because we used to have our superintendent used to be a
Just
chemistry
like-
teacher. I do want the board to know that when we put these kinds of things in where it says board no later than the start of each school year, we've been updating a Google Doc calendar for the principals so that they can see that these policies, like these kind of policies that trigger these reviews, so that we know that they're coming up. So we did that at the last meeting. Okay, and then, so that's for first read. Those were for first read, and we will make one change, obviously, and if there's any others. And then we need to rescind IHBG, because we rewrote, what was the policy that?
JJJR.
JJJR is basically that. So, are there any comments or questions at this point? Because we have a lot,
Yeah, it's just
we have a
re-
very big policy thing to do.
It's
so.
a really nitpicky thing. Just in general, the use of the word between is technically when you only have two things.
Mhm.
And when it's more than two things, it should be among.
Mhm.
And I've seen a couple instances where talk about it will be done between, and there's 5 different groups listed. So
Okay.
just something grammatically to
Okay, well,
think
we
of.
will keep that in mind. We'll have someone do a search for the word between on all of our policies, and we'll check, no, I'm kidding. I'm really kidding. So, I need a motion.
Only on all the ones in the memo, because I forget which one it was
Yeah.
on.
So, I need a motion to approve the recommendations identified in the policy memo as amended.
So moved.
Moved by Beth,
Second.
second by Rob. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Okay, so, moving on to, we're not doing cell phones, just so you know that.
Can I just ask a question about
We're,
that? I know we're not
moving that to
doing
next
it.
month.
Okay, perfect.
We
Okay, I
had
was-
some mistakes in there,
Okay.
so.
I'm just kind of curious, in general, what, beyond what was distributed, what kind of things are you still looking at?
It's not that we really have to look at anything additional. The wrong policy was linked in the memo, and so there were gonna be too many changes to try to do it here. We
Right.
thought it would be cleaner to bring you a cleaned policy. at
I
the
will
next
tell you
meeting.
the major change that the policy committee's doing after having conversation is removing the consequences.
All
So
of them?
removing the consequences and making it about policy and not procedure. So that's what we're recommending. So that's where you'll probably have a debate. We'll probably discuss that next month, but that's what we decided to throw out here.
Could I ask that you not wait until the packet comes out to circulate it, to send, if you've got
Yeah,
it?
we'll send you the corrected version tomorrow.
Yeah, that would
Thank
be
you.
great. Okay, so moving on. So how are we managing these?
So
Where's the
this
motion?
looks complicated, but it really isn't. If you see the first 5 items, AC, ACAA, ACAB, ACAAR, and ACABR, what we need to do, because of our court ruling last winter, they struck down the changes that came to the Title IX law. And so we have to revert back to the policy that we had in place in 2023. So all those policies are your 2023 policies.
From the 2020 law.
And it doesn't mean that we can't review them in the future, but right now it's just going back to what you had in place in 2023. And then the next grouping is to rescind the ones that were passed after the 2024. So it looks like a lot, but
It's
it
not.
isn't.
It isn't, as long as we can agree to do a first reading, waive subsequent readings, and adopt, even though we haven't presented these, and we haven't talked about them, but it's basically, we
Yeah,
did the
you
whole
did.
discussion
Yeah,
back in
correct. Yeah, right.
2023, and we
Right.
approved them in 2023, and it's the law. And
Right.
we are,
We're out of compliance right
Yep.
now. So we
and,
need to-
and we could have a complaint, so against us, we don't have one, I don't know if we have one, but, we could, so we wanna make sure we have the right policies there.
Just a general question, because been a while since we looked at this. Is it true that the current policies violate the law, or
Yes.
just include things that are no longer necessary?
Do you want to go? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it does violate the law in that it includes things that are not supposed to be included. So if we followed those policies, if I received a complaint and I needed to follow up, I can't present this policy that we currently have. I would have to present an old procedure.
Now, wasn't part of the change redirecting who was responsible for things?
No, I don't think that's a change.
It was a broader,
But I mean, that, wasn't that included, my question is,
yeah,
does it now take away your,
No.
the authority that you
no,
had
I'm still the
had
same,
in the
no,
past?
I've been a Title IX person for
Okay.
through every, it's my favorite. So fun. Yes, no, it doesn't change any of that. It has certain kind of, recommendations for investigators, decision makers, et cetera, but that's not necessarily part of what qualifies something to become
Okay.
harassment or discrimination.
The other aspect that changed, that is like a black and white change is the timelines. And so all the R1, R2s that we need to rescind are all procedural documents outlining timelines.
Does it lengthen the timeline or make it ambiguous?
It makes it strict, so the 2020, which we're reverting back to, is actually a stricter burden of proof and definition, and the timelines are much stricter, and there actually are slightly longer in timeframe. The 2024 included more broad components and kind of made it, I don't want to say easier, but easier in some ways
Gave some
to have a
flexibility.
finding of harassment and discrimination.
Oh, really?
So it's getting harder to prove.
It's going backwards to being harder to prove, correct?
Okay.
Shocking.
Or yeah, the burden of proof is on
The burden of proof is stricter. So the definitions of harassment and discrimination are stricter under what we're going back to for 2020.
Do these also include student stuff, or is it, okay?
Yep.
Okay,
Can we
so.
do a blanket approval?
Yeah, so we're gonna do a one motion to accept the first reading, waive subsequent readings, and adopt policy AC, ACAA, ACAB, ACAA-R, and ACAB-R as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Beth.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
Second
none of
by
the
Rob.
ones with the numbers after them.
Right.
Those are all going to
That's
be
gonna be next.
rescissions?
Okay, so, any more discussion? All
We need a
the,
second.
we did, Beth, Rob second, sorry.
Yeah.
Beth was the first.
So-
I
Second.
firsted and seconded.
Yes. All those in favor? 6-0, motion carries. All right, and now we need to rescind and we've already gone over why, so I need a motion to rescind ACAA-R1, ACAA-R2, ACAB-R1, and ACAB-R2.
So moved.
Moved by Beth, second by Rob. And are there any more comments on that?
Yes. I just want to thank all our administrators for helping walk us through this, because you make a very complicated process understandable and supportable.
Yeah, thank you.
In the short time that we have to digest it all.
Yeah. Yeah, all those in favor? 6-0. I just want to say, as a member of the policy committee, that we will be seeing this kind of procedure a little bit more. Unfortunately, so much is really just driven by legal, and then we have our attorneys reviewing it. So even when we get it in policy committee, it's a lot of like, we don't want to play with it because the attorney's already written it. So we don't want to, we're not attorneys. So we're going to be seeing a little bit more of this.
No, but I think it's really important that we've got people who do understand it
Yeah.
in the details
Yeah.
here, and we're not rubber stamping. We are delegating our investigatory thing.
Yes. Well, and I have to say, the team is doing a lot of work. Like, they are doing a lot of work,
Yeah.
including our compliance and communications coordinator is doing a lot of the digging through and sifting through, and Dot, and, so
Yeah.
they're doing a lot of work. So
That's
we
what's
do really
making- that's
appreciate
what's
that.
making it work.
Thank you. Okay, so,
We
I
need to
think,
take the vote, though.
we did take a
You
vote.
did.
We did.
You did.
We
Oh,
did,
I
you
thought-
voted.
I thought the discussion was before the vote.
No, I mentioned the policy committee thing after. I took
Oh.
the vote and then I talked about policy committee.
Really
Just-
confusing.
yeah.
Holly.
I totally went
Trying
off
to
the
keep
agenda for a
everyone
second.
toes
What? What did you say?
Keeping them on his toes.
Okay.
keeping him on his toes.
Okay, and I just need a report out from the process observer.
We got through it a lot faster than I thought we did. We would. I thought that the special ed program and Dot's presentations are very helpful for us to be able to really help us dive into and understand what's going on here in the next few months. And everything else went pretty smoothly. The class size discussion probably is the one thing that went a little bit long than what we had on the agenda, but good job, everyone.
Thank you very much. And we do not have a non-public, so I will entertain
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Rob, second by Beth and Kate. All in favor? 6-0. All right, there we go.